40,000 students pursuing and nurturing their career at Moi University. Enroll now. Moi University, the foundation of knowledge.
We have what we call youth centers. We've got 60 youth centers across the county.
We have involved youth because we feel this is the only way that we can bring them together to do some work here and there, and they are given small allowance, and we also put them on NHIF so that they are able to benefit from the universal health coverage.
Police officers afade mimi sijawahi ona bangi maisha yangu yote. Hizo ma award zikafanya watu waanze kuimbia award badala waimbe the word. Mimi mkinichagua mtaona miujiza.
Anajifanya siku hizi.
Kibia mara moja.
Naogopa Mwenyezi Mungu na uji moto peke yake.
Hiyo si bangi.
The three sides of Anna.
After this, I won't be able to live in peace for the rest of my life. I have to confess what I did. I have to turn myself in.
You're not going to do anything.
I needed to see Marcelo, to speak with him without his knowing that it was me. So what did you find out?
And that money is the only thing you'll ever get from me, Iñaki. Because the young man that's lying there, he is the real reason why I abandoned you.
I don't want you in my house, nor in my life, especially in my boy's life. Get out of here!
The three sides of Anna.
With Lipa na M-Pesa, you get more.
Lipa na M-Pesa.
Every 100 shillings spent on Lipa na M-Pesa earns you an entry into the draw. Do more with Lipa na M-Pesa.
Whether you're not putting us on a TV show.
That ship already sailed when you got involved with me.
Minna, you're hired. Yay!
Welcome to the family. Why are you so obsessed with putting your life out there?
Haya. Kwani ni wewe?
Aye. What a coincidence.
Wewe unanifuata?
Are you sure? Ni wewe ama ni mimi nakufuata?
Mr. Mayweather Odhiambo.
You are under arrest.
What? Denarius, son of my mother. Denarius.
NTV, turning on your world.
Wakey, and many thanks indeed for joining us on AM Live and today's installment of People and Politics. Our guests already here in studio with us. And of course, we shall be discussing a lot of issues as far as the politics of the weekend is concerned, from Kakamega, and also what was happening in Mumias as well. And also, what is happening as far as President Uhuru and Deputy President William Ruto is concerned in the corner as well. You shall see that momentarily from our dailies, of course, much later in the course of the program. But we have Kimano Matangi. Today you're early. 6 on the nose. It's a new year. Yeah. It's a new year.
Reforms.
These are part of reforms. Also, we have Aaron Cheriot with us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Good
yes.
to see you.
I certainly haven't seen you this year.
Yeah.
Happy felicitation for the new year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Otiende Molo.
Yes.
Good to see you. Looking fresh,
Pleasure.
up and early. So, we can serve you tea, coffee. What will you?
Hot water for me.
Hot water for you. And what will tickle your fancy?
Black tea.
Black tea. Aaron Cheriot.
Black coffee.
Did I point Aaron Cheriot at the earlier?
Black coffee.
Black coffee. Otiende?
Black coffee.
Black coffee as well. Let me just be doing that momentarily. I'll just begin maybe with the easiest, which is
hot water.
Hot water.
Yeah, and the best.
And the best as well.
Yeah.
But have you taken your breakfast?
Well, not.
I know you've gone to the gym already.
Yes, I've done some activities in the gym.
So what time do you get to the gym?
About 4:30.
4:30.
Yes.
So what time do you wake up?
I wake up at 3.
By 3?
Every day.
Every day?
Yes.
And you hit the gym 4:30?
4:30 I hit the gym. So by 6 I'm out and about. It's only on Tuesdays when you make me leave a bit earlier.
Yes, yeah.
So
I tamper a bit to the program. Okay, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Fantastic. Right, we want us to continue with the program. And of course, it's people and politics, which is up next. All right, let's drill deeper by looking at what is on the dailies. We'll begin with the Business Daily, which is already here. Then I'll go back to the Daily Nation. I think I mixed up a bit. Taxpayers foot 88, that's 888 million shillings bill for torture by state. This says human rights amount will be used to settle 52 cases filed by survivors of Nyayo House torture chambers after various ministries were directed to deposit cash with AG. The story continues on page 4 of the Business Daily this morning. Also, ex-minister's home to be auctioned. All right. This is what we have as a sidebar story here. This says a former Internal Security Assistant Minister, Stephen Tarus, it says here, faces a fight to block the auction of his current home in Nairobi over 70 million shillings NIC bank loan. You can follow the rest of the story inside the Business Daily this morning. Also, markets open here. Trading begins. President Uhuru Kenyatta joins business leaders at the launch of the Green Bond at London Stock Exchange yesterday. A similar bond was launched at the Nairobi Securities Exchange last week. Mr. Kenyatta was in London for the UK Africa Investment Summit. Also, loans interest eats up 40% of tax revenue. This story continues on page 4 of the Business Daily this morning. UK is a sidebar or on the ticker there. UK woos Kenya with billions. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson yesterday pitched £1.3 billion, that is sterling pounds, business opportunities to Kenyan delegation led by President Uhuru Kenyatta at the UK Africa Investment Summit in London. Also, the digits today is 30 shillings, the increase in sugar prices due to can shortage and new deadline for gas rules. Energy sector regulator has extended the deadline for complying with the tough cooking gas rules by 3 months, providing a reprieve to retailers. That is a story that you want to follow also on page 6 of the Business Daily this morning. Centum ratings up on Nairobi bottlers sell. South African Global Credit Ratings, GCR, has accorded a stable outlook to Centum PLC on account of reduced debt and proven record of capital gains from the sale of investment. That story, you can follow it on page 19 of the Business Daily this morning. Right, let's go back to where we were supposed to start. This is the Daily Nation. Inside Raila plan for 2022 election is a splash today. Leveraging on BBI force, the rallies, ODM leader is spearheading with the blessings of President Kenyatta, seen as political infrastructure for the next general election. And this story continues on page 8 of the Daily Nation today. And we can see also a related picture. ODM leader Raila Odinga at Capitol Hill Square with governors from the coast ahead of the weekend BBI rally. There from left, Tana River Governor Dado Godana, Emerson Kingi of Kilifi, Hassan Joho and Granton Samboja. And of course, questions have been raised regarding why the president is particularly intent on the governors to try and steamroll the BBI in the counties, right? Is he also not on the same page with the MPs, right? Most of them, of course, they've expressed their frustrations with the BBI, especially from the Jubilee side, the Tanga side, that is. Also still on the front page of the Daily Nation, Uhuru's hand in varsity leadership row. This is on page 4 and 5 of today's Daily Nation as the University of Nairobi plunged into deeper crisis after a court reversed a directive annulling appointment of a vice-chancellor. The president was dragged into the dispute, and you can see the faces of the controversy of leadership there. We have the key players here. Stephen Kiama, whose appointment was revoked. Also, we have Professor Isaac Mbeche, appointed acting VC. Professor George Magoha, who revoked the appointment, and also President Uhuru Kenyatta, who's dragged into the fray as it is right now. And of course, we know the latest development from the courts as far as the appointment is concerned. So until there's a hearing of a case, then Stephen Kiama will still be the VC as it stands right now. That is what we have on the front page of the Daily Nation. Also, side by story there, how Courier's relatives got CDF tenders. Our Courier's relatives got CDF tenders here. Companies owned by close relatives and friends of Gatundu South legislator Moses Kuria received tenders worth millions of shillings from his constituency CDF kitty during his first term as MP. You can follow the story on page 6 of the Daily Nation this morning. Also, Mr. Babu Owino to spend 7 days behind bars. No bail just yet for politician facing 2 counts of attempted murder following shooting of Felix Orinda, aka DJ Evolve, at a Nairobi club. This is according to the court rules, and you can follow page 10 of the Daily Nation this morning. Let's pick up the Standard, and this is what you're waking up. This is what you're waking up to this morning. BBI secret plot for president to sack Ruto. BBI secret plot for president to sack Ruto. MPs reveal scheme to use constitutional reforms to grant president powers to fire deputy, citing raging feud between Uhuru and Ruto. And this story continues on page 6 of the Standard today. Also, there are other proposals as well. Push for government of national unity after the referendum. Chiefs to be enlisted to collect 1 million signatures for referendum. Plans for a supplementary budget in June to fund referendum. And this story continues on page 6 of the Standard today. And you can see also that particular face that is writ large with frustration that is, related to this particular headlining story there. Also, budget cuts hits MPs, judges and governors. This is a spending plan in his first move after being confirmed. Treasury says Ukur Yatani has moved to show his back is just as deep as his bite, slashing billions of shillings from the next financial year's budget. With a budget of 2.7 trillion shillings, the government will be looking to balance President Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy projects with a commitment to reduce its spending and pay off its debts. That story continues inside the Standard today. Police recall bodyguards of 4 MPs and a probe, and the faces are spread here on the front page of the Standard today. This is Babu Owino, Aisha Jumwa, Kimani Ngujiri and Moses Kuria. Follow the story on page 3 of the Standard today. Let's pick up the Star, which is up next. And this is what is headlining the Star today. Sonko Courier to lose guns in crackdown, it says. IG techs aim at license holders who misuse weapons. Also affected are leaders facing corruption charges. And the other story continuing on page 4 and 5 of the Star today. And you can see the unflappable smile there of Embakasi MP Paul Ongili, aka Babu Owino, in a Milimani court yesterday when he denied attempting to murder a DJ. Follow the story inside the Star today. Uhuru engineered the revocation of Kiama's top job at UON. This is according to Magoha. President Uhuru Kenyatta's displeasure with the appointment of University of Nairobi Vice Chancellor without being consulted could have influenced the revocation of Stephen Kiama's elevation. Education CS George Magoha yesterday said quote unquote. The council acted in a manner that did not conform after failing to consider the government's input in filing the position. He continued, "It is unfortunate that someone somewhere is pulling strings and wants to destroy the university." Magoha spoke at Olympic Primary School in Kibera, where he launched a campaign to ensure all learners who sat the 2019 KCPE exams proceed to secondary school. Yeah, you can follow the story on page 2 of the Star today. BBI debate. Raila meets 4 coast governors to planned rally in Tononoka. Raila meets 4 coast governors to planned rally in Tononoka. Also, vexatious medical equipment scheme receives 2 billion shillings. And Mr. Babu Wino remanded until January the 27th. You can follow this story inside the Star this morning. Let's move on and see what we have on the front page of the People Daily. And this is your splash this morning. VIPs in crimes set to lose firearms. It says tough measures. Bahati MP Ngunjiri, the first victim, as police move to deny protection to high-profile individuals found breaking the law. The story continues on page 4 of the People Daily this morning. Also, Kenya pockets 170 billion shillings worth of deals at UK Africa Summit is another story. And Magoha goes fishing for 400,000 Form 1s. Handshake BBI handle Paranya's second term. That is a story that you want to follow on page 6 of the People Daily this morning. Right, I'll show you the Business Daily. Now we can actually cross over and go to Tanzania and pick up the Citizen for us and see what is happening in Tanzania. Counting losses, although the biometric SIM card registration exercise is continuous. Blocking 20.4 million SIM cards will certainly leave the telecom firms, government, bank and individuals suffering untold financial losses. You can follow the story on page 2 of the Citizen today. It's a headache there. And the figures are also broken for you. Businesses to be affected, banks, mobile money agents. Also, we have telecom companies, digital lenders, school fees payments, utility payments, that is water, Luku, Pay TV. Also, government payments, 48.8 million. The total number of SIM cards in circulations according to TCRA. That story is well fleshed out for you on page 2 of The Citizen. What businesses expect of new Brella boss? Find all the details on page 3 of The Citizen if you're waking up in Tanzania this morning. Let's move on and to see what we have also on the front page of the Mwananchi and also other dailies. Let's go to Rwanda first of all and just see what is on the front page of the New Times. Labour unions fault government over legal vacuum is a story that you want to follow inside the New Times today. And the story is tucked away also on page 3 where you have all the full details. Taxation, know how much you'll pay for your plot of land. All the details are given on page 2. And Africa ready for trade. This is what Kagame is saying. And you can see a family photo there. This is President Kagame and other heads of state and government and other leaders posed for a group photo during the UK Africa Investment Summit in London yesterday. Kagame told the gathering that Africa was ready to trade with itself and the rest of the world, citing the coming into force of the Continental Free Trade Area. And the story is well fleshed out for you on page 3 of the New Times this morning. Let's move on and we see what we have also on the front page of... Let's just move on and we see what we have on the front page of the Newsweek. Other dailies as well. I shall show you in a moment briefly, but internationally we have the Newsweek, and this is where is it? Newsweek and the Time magazine. Let me just show you the Time magazine as well briefly. So this is the latest copy of the Time magazine, the family business. This is Jared Kushner, the unusual power of Jared Kushner. You can follow it inside the latest copy of the Time magazine. There we go. And I want to show you also what we have on the front page of the Entrepreneur. We have also editorial cartoons that we'll be showing you much later in the course of the program, but they seem to be eluding me. Let me come back home and show you also what we have on the front page of Taifa Leo. Hali yao mbaya. Hali yao mbaya. And these are the legislators there and the governor. We have Governor Mike Sonko, magavana wa 6, senator na wabunge 7 kupokonywa walinzi na bunduki kuhusiana na madai ya uhalifu dhidi yao. You can follow the story on page 2 of Taifa Leo this morning. Also, machifu wahubiri walaumiwa kwa mauaji ya wazee, and that story continues on page 2 of Taifa Leo this morning. Good. So we want to also just a moment to try and retrieve this for you. Okay, that one. All right, those are your dailies. I'll try and retrieve the other dailies that are actually giving me some difficulty this morning. But for now, let's go for laughter and levity and see what the editorial cartoonists have drawn for us today. All right, this is what we have today in the Star. It's the deep state. Right, it's the deep state, and we can see people who are affected by the new rule now, especially the senators and the governors, as we saw on the front page also of Taifa Leo, as far as gun control is concerned. So that is a new directive from the IG. It's the deep state. That's what they're saying. It's the deep state. We shall be discussing this with our panelists later. Also, let's see what we have in the Daily Nation today, according to Victor, what is drawn for us. And this is the BBI, and I was finally consulted and involved. And now the question is has Mudavadi also joined the BBI bandwagon? And you could look at this shining pate also of this gentleman here. Who is he, right? It looks like Boni Khalwale. Eh? There's a Matangi, wear glasses. This looks like Boni Khalwale.
That is the man from Kolomani.
Yeah, and I'm being told even the Kisogo, Boni Khalwale is typically yours, yeah? You Kisogo, and this is what Victor has drawn for us today inside the Daily Nation. We'll come to that much later, and Boni will tell us the development in Kakamega. Let's move on and we see what also has been drawn by Stano, and this is what Stano has drawn for us today. Okay, this is hot news. VIPs involved in crime to lose firearms and security detail. Wanjiku, look, they are now targeting our community. You see, so we saw on the other end, it was the deep state. Now someone else, according to the VIP here, this is targeting their community as well. This is what has been drawn by Stano there inside the People Daily. Let's see, do I have Gado with me here? Yes, I had it somewhere, but I'll show you. Yeah, this is Gado as well. It says, Mweshimiwa, it looks like this guy is dead. And of course, this is the recent saga on the gun shooting that happened at a Nairobi club here. But you can see what Babu is saying. Tialala, I'll pay for his funeral cost. Tialala. Right, so I'll leave it to you to decipher this. We shall be looking at this also with our panelists much later with our panelists. Right, this is what we have there. You saw me pouting there. I was trying to gasp for some air. I was not covered. All right then. So also let's just, I want to just show you also, we just want to hack back to 20 years back. I'm trying to make some gestures there. So I want us just to go to 2000, where I retrieved this particular archive from our library, looking at the politics of the day then up to now. It is 20 years. Of course, we're in a new decade. So we have a new segment called the Museum. And here it is. And this is what also this particular gentleman had to say then.
Tunajua siku hizi katika Kenya watu wa nchi ya Kenya wamechukua siasa sijui mpaka pahali ambayo haijulikani. Mazungumzo ya kila siku ni mambo ya siasa. Mimi maombi yangu ya sisi viongozi na watu wengine wa Kenya, sasa tulenge mambo ya maendeleo. Sisemi siasa tufute kabisa, lakini tulenge mambo ya maendeleo ya wananchi. Mazungumzo zaidi yetu tuyaelekeshe kwa mambo na shida za wananchi.
All right, that is harking back 20 years back. The late George Saitoti talking about how Kenyans still, they're so much absorbed with politics. But for now, let's see what we have in the highlights for you on People and Politics. BBI a panacea to our united Mulembe nation? That is the probing question. And also Uhuru banks on BBI and governors to deliver it. And also, is impeachment in the offing for YT2? Now, the Council of Governors have voted to retain its current leadership and use it to spearhead the Building Bridges Initiative campaigns. According to sources within the meeting, the council led by Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya is best suited to drive the BBI agenda, which they believe will not only serve the county's interest, but the interest of governors seeking a second term of office. President Uhuru Kenyatta met governors for a special lunch last Thursday, where he formed a team to coordinate the BBI campaigns together with other strategically placed political players in the counties.
I'm calling a council meeting in 2 weeks' time so that we actually take a position and we make our contribution to the PPA report.
Again, as national government, we pledge our support in putting in place the necessary legal and policy framework to enable the regional economic blocks be operationalized, be strengthened, and be magnets of private sector investment.
I think we should go to the next level of regional premiers so that then we can create and harness these leadership skills, because the second term governors surely have experience, have wealth of knowledge in developed factions, and they do need to remain within.
We urge everybody to support the Building Bridges initiative that proposes an alternative gender rule for the county level, where the governor is a male, the deputy is a female, and when the governor is a female, the deputy is a male.
It's not a question of if, it's a question of when the BBI now becomes a reality, then we expect better delivery in most of those sectors that we are representing as chairs.
Now, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has filed an application seeking to recover over 147 million shillings that had already been paid out to Testimony Company Limited for the upgrade of gravel roads in Kiambu County to Butem standard. The anti-graft body claims the 58 million shillings, that is million shillings, I should say, that is 588 million shillings, I should say, tender that has landed Waititu in trouble was irregularly awarded. The EACC presented evidence in court that Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu abused his office by directly influencing the tender process and awarded it to Testimony Limited. The EACC says the company did not meet the minimum pre-qualification criteria, and there is no proof that it had carried out similar works in the past. Now, the muscle and spectacle exhibited at the two meetings held so far to popularize Building Bridges initiative have left no doubt about the political direction the country is being headed to. The meeting in Kakamega following closely after the Kisii one the previous week were about showmanship, bravado, and raw power. Little has been discussed about BBI, and hardly have the citizens been accorded a chance to give their views. Contrastingly, as the BBI caucus got underway at Buhungu Stadium in Kakamega town, the police cordoned off Nabongo Stadium in Mumias, a few kilometers away, and tear gas and hounded Western leaders who had planned a parallel rally. The irony was striking. BBI is about unifying Kenyans, but it is increasingly becoming divisive and acrimonious, achieving exactly the opposite, which is the point of discussion here. Proponents of BBI and critics should all be listened to. Critics should be allowed to express their views and articulate reasons for their disagreements. Stifling criticism is the surest way to dictatorship, a political system that perpetuates a single narrative and demands blind loyalty is perilous. We have walked that path before and are acutely conscious of the ramifications. All right, so here is today's soapbox on how the weekend's political intrigues unfolded.
Baadhi hao wanaweza kupata kiti ni kupitia kwa hii BBI.
Wakasema eti ninyi hamwezi mkajipanga, nyinyi ni watu kupangwa tu. Leo we have proven them wrong, the prophets of doom, who are counting on the division of Western, who are counting on Musalia not coming here today, who are counting on Wetangula not coming here today.
Na washukuru wale brothers wangu ambao wamekuja. Unajua tuna watu wengi wa vitina hapa na pale. Unajua kiwa na njaa vitina. Ndugu zangu wamekuja hapa, na mkitaka tuendelee mbele, muache kusikia mambo ya vitina.
We have the right to be here, and here we shall be, and here we shall remain, and here we shall talk, and here we shall bargain.
Hii siasa ya mchezo ya kujaribu kuleta utengano kati ya viongozi tuepukane nayo. Mimi ni Musalia Mudavadi, mimi napenda amani, na mimi napenda kukaa na watu wote wa Kenya na tufanye kazi pamoja.
What I'm doing with Uhuru, we are doing it for posterity for this country. It is not for Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga does not have to be the president of Kenya. But Kenya must have a good president. There must be structures that will ensure that the Kenya is being governed in a responsible manner. Tutaenda kwa serikali kupitia kwa bibi, na Kenya sasa iko formation ni BBI and Tangata. Ukiona mtu anaongea lugha ya against BBI ama against Uhuru Kenyatta ama against handshake, yeye yuko kwa Tangata.
Central Kenya, kila gavana tumekubaliana, tumewekwa katika committee. Mimi nakaa kwa ile ya National Steering Committee. Kuna wale wako regional, hakuna hata moja hako nje ya BBI.
Tuko hapa kwa sababu ya viongozi wawili. Kiongozi wetu Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta na baba ambayo yuko hapa. Na sisi hata mkoa wa Central tumesema Kenya yetu haitagawanywa tena kwa ukabila.
Hii itapita ili wanawake wawe ndani, vijana wawe ndani, na kwa hivyo hakuna mtu anatakikana apinge hii BBI.
Tunataka referendum, na hiyo referendum tunataka ifanyike kabla ya Julai. Na wale ambao walisoma gazette notice ya President Uhuru Kenyatta, alisema hiyo ripoti lazima tuipate kabla ya 30th June 2020. Yani inawezekana kuwa na referendum before July, tumalize hii kazi.
Right, also we have a pictorial for you that is what was happening over the weekend as well. Let's just see that on from our snapshot. Right, we want to buckle down to our discussion this morning with our panelists. Of course, much happened over the weekend, and we want to drill deeper on that with our panelists today. Here is their profiles. And here we want to continue with the discussion. Of course, we can see Jacomi Dio, you're taking special umbrage on that particular. I know you're an independent. Is it an independent party or an
independent man?
Independent man.
Yeah.
Former. It should have been former. But good to see you, gentlemen.
Exactly.
Right. Let's just buckle down to
It's a former independent man.
Former independent man.
Not
you see, we can read so much into that. Former independent. What are you alluding to? That is not. It's no longer. It's no longer actually independent. Huh? Is in ODM right now?
Yeah.
No.
With
BBI.
So BBI, I didn't know BBI was ODM. BBI is Kenyan in my own construction.
Yeah. They said if it talks like ODM, walks like ODM, behaves like ODM, then it is ODM. Let's just begin with this editorial cartoon that we have in the Daily Nation today. Maybe we can begin with you, Aaron Cheriot, and we can see the BBI, of course, bandwagon has taken off. What really happened in Kakamega, of course, also showcases that the BBI is steamrolling, and we can see also the president is wooing governors to try and make sure that it's shaking into place as it is right now. But we can talk about the developments of the BBI, especially in the Western region as it is right now. We had so many bites from our leaders saying that the BBI, first of all, will be a panacea, especially for the Luhya nation, to unite them. And this particular call for Musalia Mudavadi and also Moses Wetangula to join the rest of the leaders in Western Kenya, we're given to understand also was instigated by the president making that particular last-minute call. Let's just begin from there, first of all, Aaron Cheriot. What was your reading as far as this rally is concerned?
Well, it was a very interesting day watching what happened. Of course, leading up to this particular weekend, there was discussion that there was going to be a separate leaders meeting in Mumias, where it was indicated that SL's party leader and the ANC party leader, together with others who are not aligned to the kind of thinking that put together the meeting in Kakamega, were going to have in Mumias. Then, of course, later into the week, leading up to Thursday, there was discussion that perhaps there was a change of mind from the two leaders, that is Moses Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi, and that now they'd be showing up at Bukungu, where the rest of the leaders from that particular region. What is still not clear to my mind is what was dangled. Was it a cane or a carrot to get them to appear in Bukungu? Were they beaten into submission, or were they cajoled so that perhaps the person who's better placed is my good friend here, Eseli, because I want to believe he can confidently speak on behalf of his party leader or on behalf of his party, because I think his entire party was there. But more telling, Dibal, is the kind of speeches that both Moses Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi gave. In fact, I can't remember which of the two, or if it was another leader from their party who likened the meeting. And they said, this is akin to a man walking into your house and you're told he's actually going for the breast of your wife, do you show up as a man or you keep away? The answer was that you have to show up. These people have raided our turf, therefore we had to come. I think you saw the speech, the clip that you played here of my colleague Senator Wetangula, and the kind of things he was saying. He said we'll be here, we have a right to be here, you know, and that kind of an arrangement, simply trying to, in short, they were in the meeting, but they were not in sync with what the ultimate plan was about. I said we may be here, but we still have issues, and I think they are justified in a sense. I want to agree with their thinking to the extent that it is known overally that this particular part of the country has its leaders. The most popular political parties in that region, if you are to use even the number of elected leaders as a good indicator, you'd find that it is between ANC, Jubilee, and Ford Kenya. ODM pulls in at a distant fourth in terms of the number of elected leaders that they have in that particular region. Therefore, when you're planning a political engagement, because BBI, let's not fool each other, is a political engagement. It's about trying to, if you listen to both Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, is about pacifying political tension and trying to sanitize our politics, whatever that means, as if our constitution doesn't provide for sufficient tools to deal with that. Therefore, if it is about the genuine nature of what BBI is supposed to be, how comes it is so difficult to listen to alternative views? How comes it is so difficult to listen to critics of the same people who say that this is a good proposal? By and large, I want to believe BBI has a buy-in of almost all leading political players. They may disagree on 1, 2, or 3 other things. And I think we would have approached this with better sobriety if it was reduced to the leading, say, political party leaders being genuine about their desire and saying, I know so-and-so you prefer a parliamentary system. I prefer a presidential. Where is it that we can get to form sort of an aura of agreement and say the issues that unite us, we set them aside, and those that divide us, we try and see how we are able to reach an agreement. But when you watch the kind of thing that was going on, where Boni Halwale had to be tear gas for simply trying to do a rally 40 kilometers away from Bukungu, and you're told that it is a threat, it tells you that there's something sinister about BBI that we are not being told. There's something
sinister about it,
not genuine about it, because even these governors that you see here being paraded, let me tell you, they have been beaten into submission. It is either you go to EACC or support BBI. That is the truth of the matter.
Hold it, just leave it there. What are the issues now that is really dividing us as far as BBI is concerned? And why do you think then that particular meeting that Boni Halwale were holding it parallel to what was happening in Bukungu Stadium could have been just held on the same day? Was it a providential time for for them to have that particular meeting on that particular day?
You will get, I think Boni,
I'll ask Boni
will answer you the second question, but let me tell you.
No, hold it so that we can hear from Eseli, then we'll come back to you as well. Eseli, what was your reading?
What is causing the division about the BBI is the way it's being done. Because I can state without any fear of contradiction that as I observed the goings on before the Kakamega meeting, there was a serious attempt to exclude people, to exclude certain leaders, to exclude certain parties, such that by the time we go to Kakamega, it was a purely ODM affair. In fact, if the party leader of ANC, Musalia Mudavadi, and the party leader of Ford Kenya had not stormed into the meeting, it would have been a purely ODM affair. In fact, it's very interesting that the speakers who are allowed to speak, majority were ODM. While the rest of us were seated there, we were not given a chance. And even at introduction, by then they'd even left me out, yet I was present, just introducing the members who are present. I think ODM should stop their bad manners. If really BBI is supposed to help this country, and it's supposed to carry everybody, let them stop the bad manners. if it is not the party leader of ODM who is perpetrating this, then he should know that his people are causing division. In fact, what happened with this particular meeting was that we had a press conference and said that unless they involve us, we will not go. And immediately we finished the press conference on Wednesday morning. The governors were meeting somewhere in Mumias. They then called for a meeting, a consultative meeting in Bungoma, the Zoya Sugar Guest House. So we went for the consultative meeting. And indeed, we gave our opinions as to what should happen. And we now forced a committee to be formed to have an MP from every county and the senators and an MCA from every county. But still, the organizers tried very hard to ensure that whichever MP got into that organizing team had to be ODM or pro-ODM.
All right.
Like the Malalas and the
who was
whatevers.
leading the organizing committee?
Oparanya.
Oparanya himself.
Yes. So for us in Western, we felt that that is, I think, going too, rubbing it too far. And that's why you can take Wetangula's words based on that when he said that even if you are disrespected like whatever, nobody can come into your house and start caressing your wife's breasts. And you keep quiet. That's essentially what Wetangula meant.
Said,
So it is them who are causing the difficulties with BBI. And when you look at it also, like now, I read in one of the papers here what Ngilu is saying, that they don't want Kalonzo, they want to do the BBI themselves without Kalonzo, because Kalonzo has not called for a meeting, so he should be left out. You know, these people are using this to still cause divisions within communities. So eventually, they will defeat the whole intent of the whole thing. But as for Wetangula attending that meeting, the decision for Wetangula to attend that meeting was made on Thursday. We had a party management meeting in the morning, and by evening we had made that decision.
To attend?
To attend.
That is what I wanted to ask you.
But we had not communicated it because they had left him out of the planning. So we're not going to communicate it too early, so they now plan to heckle him like they usually do. So we kept it till last minute for them to know.
Were you privy to any information that, yes, they were planning to heckle?
The intention, by the way, if the two leaders had not attended that meeting in Kakamega, the intention was to really spew venom against them. But their presence sort of held them back. I feel like Atwoli tried to throw some brick barbs here and there, but their presence sort of curtailed the intention of that meeting. So I think if we go on that way, then we might lose the whole plot of uniting this country. I think they need to relook at it. And another thing, when they decide that it's the governors to run the show, that is all very well. Maybe the governors have got more money, but they should know that at the grassroots, the MCAs and the MPs are closer to the people down there than those governors.
Than the governors. All right. So before I come to Otene, just briefly, so the notion that the president prevailed upon Musalia Mudavadi and Wetangula to actually attend is not true.
I don't know about Musalia, but I know that with my party leader, we planned on Thursday evening. By Thursday evening, we had made a decision that he's going to attend.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's hear from Otende Amolo. What was your reading when I actually looked at the entire event? Did you attend yourself?
Yes, we actually walked in with Dr. Eseli Simiyu. But can we go back to that cartoon?
Yeah, we go back to the cartoon, yes.
Two light things. Right. If you go back to that cartoon, I think it's a very interesting depiction. You see, it's a train that is coming at full speed. And the gentleman who, as depicted, is Dr. Boni Halwale, is standing right on the tracks. Now, the wisdom of such a position can be questioned because obviously the train will run you over. And he's duly armed against the train. If you see, do you see what he's holding at the back of his hands?
Yeah.
What looks like stones. That's what the cartoonist has chosen to depict for us. I think this cartoon depicts properly what happened. Now, we also saw that other clip of Dr. Boni Halwale running away in Mumias. And if you look at it,
I don't know whether it's the shirt, because the shirt he was wearing in Mumias tends to look like the one he was wearing in Kibra. And I think that shirt is jinxed. I think Dr. Halwale should not wear that shirt, because every time he wears it, there's always tear gas and some sprinting. And they're going to make Dr. Boni Halwale compete Kipchoge, and that's not fair.
Now, maybe to just add, maybe Boni should tell us, is that the uniform that now he chooses wherever he's going for this particular meeting, because maybe there's going to be
there's danger of tear gas.
Yes, because this was what people were asking. Should they buy you some sports gear when you're turning this particular?
He's in a difficult position because he was tear gassed in NASA, now he's being tear gassed.
He's being tear gassed everywhere. But Dr. Boni Halwale is battle hardened. So the only thing though is that he outtrained a lady whom he had invited to the meeting. I rather thought you would wait for a lady as a gentleman. You don't outrun her and look bad. Anyhow, coming back to the issues. I think that the position that Honorable Moses Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi took to attend the meeting was a good one, and it is to be lauded. And I think the alternative decision of Dr. Boni Halwale and the others to insist on going on with some meeting in Mumias was insincere and unwise. Insincere because, in truth, if it was about consultation for the region, you could choose any other date. You could choose today, you could choose tomorrow, you could choose earlier, you could choose any other date. And you didn't have to choose the same county just a few kilometers away from each other. That is just trying to be mischievous and inviting problems for nothing. I mean, anyone and everyone knows that they were trying to do an alternative meeting, which is lawful. But it is unwise because you know very well that whenever you try to hold alternative meetings on the same issues with different ideologies, likely there could be a clash. There is no need for that. Secondly, unlike Dr. Eseli Simiyu, with whom we walked into the meeting, and Eseli, you know, like I do, that the idea of not mentioning your name initially could not have been any big deal, because they actually members of parliament whose names were actually not mentioned at all, including even Peter Kaluma, with whom we walked in with you, because there were so many governors, so many senators, so many MPs, so much interest, that even the idea of just mentioning and acknowledging people is an issue. And for me, the fact that Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula walked in unannounced, without drama, they were able to find front seats. They were able to be given speaking slots. No one booed, no one heckled. Everyone was listened to. When Moses Wetangula spoke, there were people who were cheering him. There were people who were quiet. When Mudavadi spoke, the same thing. When Atuoli spoke, everyone. No one jeered anyone. Those who may have disagreed with whatever views kept it to themselves. Now, that is evidence that these meetings are open. If the DP walked in, he would be able to get a seat and he would be able to speak. Anybody and everybody is welcome to these meetings. They are not ODM meetings. And the best evidence is what happened in Kakamega. Secondly, the issues that Aaron is speaking to are the very issues that happened. And that's what happened in Kakamega. You see, it is perfectly okay to say we support the report, but we need the following adjustment. Now, that is what the people of Western did. The meeting that Dr. Eseli Simiyu speaks to came up with a very long resolution, and Governor Otichilo was given the responsibility to read it, and he read it. And it had so much detail, including the kind of prime minister that they want. It even went to the extent of saying that they want ESCC to be made a permanent constitutional commission. Obviously, whoever advised them didn't tell them that's already the position. But it went to such detail.
Thank you.
Now, that is the reason for those meetings. So the point, though, is, and we can come back to this, I really don't understand those who are begrudging the process, what their issue is. If Aaron Cheruiyot supports the BBI initiative, how can you not support an initiative to discuss it, to distribute it, to input into it, as happened in Kisii, as happened in Kakamega? I think the best analogy is what Senator Sakaja told the meeting.
Yes.
Aaron Cheruiyot, you are a Christian. But even as a Christian, he professes the Christian faith and meetings to drama support for it. But it is precisely for that.
Yes.
Now,
go with these particular headlines. Inside Raila plan for 2022 election. Look at the Standard. BBI secrets plot for president to sack Ruto. And we'll get into that much later as well. But MPs revealing scheme to use constitutional reforms to grant president powers to fire deputy. You know, so you don't think this, so to speak, is a man really getting into the bedroom to
these
actually,
headlines,
as you're putting it, I don't want to use that particular phrase.
These headlines are the ideas of the writers, not Raila or the organizers of the trip. But if anybody thinks that the BBI meetings are about 2022, then why don't you come and join? Be part of it or organize your own.
Right.
Provided everyone is drumming up support for the BBI.
Thank you. So I hope, Cheruiyot, you've taken mental note of that. We can come back to you. Right. Kimani Wamatangi, you're reading.
Yes,
did you attend the meeting in Bukungu?
Well, I didn't attend Kakamega, but because it's coming to Kiambu, I saw.
It's coming to Kiambu.
I saw somewhere it's coming to Kiambu, so I'll also prepare just in case I mean, I don't know whether I'll be defining my people as wives, and so I'll be saying that their breasts should not be touched. Anyway. You know, Dibal,
yes.
From that cartoon first, you don't have to
the cartoon?
Display it again.
Yes.
I wondered whether that train was it coming or going. It looked like it was going. Now, however, Dibal, my thoughts are that you see the BBI One report has already been released. The content's known. And rightfully, as most of us have said, no one has much issues with that first report. Actually, it is only content to make it better and richer. That's what is required. The process now that we are undertaking of going around, I believe, if we are to give it the meaning and the results that are required, two things, in my view, must happen. One, it is okay because when we said it is now being taken down to the people, it is all right that politicians will take it down to the people. But there has to be a balance, between what the intention, and we must remember that the first issues that were addressed by that BBI are the key 9 points. Those are the first issues. And at the end of that report, what that report says is then let now a team take this, crystallize it, condense it into implementable bites. Or points for the people to see how then you get to implement them. And I'm sure in the follow-up to this, you've seen some of them actually have almost just been adapted. For example, this 26th of December proposal to make it to Tamaduni Day looks like it is already an issue that has already been implemented. And so you'd be saying that indeed, in pursuit genuinely then of those key issues, one is able to get headway. What I'm saying and talking about the balance is this, that it is known, you cannot take it away from the character and behavior of politicians. It will not change with the BBI report. It happened since the time when politicians were called politicians, that every opportunity they get, they will try to hijack it and try to use it to their own advantage. And for this process to culminate into what it is required to be, this has also got to be spoken about, and politicians must be told. You see, if you look at, for example, some of the lineup that you're starting to see now, some people would start feeling that using this BBI process now, I'm better positioned. And so if I team up and I'm seen with Halwale and the other person, then this could be a formation for my region. For that matter. And then we have an opportunity maybe to lock this one and include this one. If that is allowed to take the upper level of these meetings, then we might lose the plot. What I would want to be saying, and Debal, let's also remember that report, and Orengo has emphasized when he was on air there, that the president gazetted that the report must be concluded and returned by June. If it is so, that means that we still have about 4 months or 5 months to go. Now we have rallies that are scheduled to go around through February. So there will be another 4 months. If within that time, the message will be what you had in Kisii, what we have had in Kakamega to be repeated, then in Mombasa to be repeated in Kiambu. Then after those first rallies, then what will be the content? What Otiende Amolo said, I believe, should be a better version. If there was a meeting that was held, because I was not in the Kakamega one, where there was consultations, that some decisions were made, there were proposals that were made by members of the public, that should take center stage, such that people are able to see that these meetings are going around and they are consultative. Members of the public are getting an opportunity to give their views, and they are being heard, and the resolutions that are being, that's what should be highlighted. But when, and maybe I think in this one we should also fault the media to a larger extent, or to a certain extent, because I believe in that process you should also be able to capture some of those issues which are key in what the report is about. And then you can give some bites to Tende Amolo, to Raila Odinga, to whoever is there as politicians when they say what they're going to say. Otherwise, we risk again portraying this entire process as a political process, while indeed most of us believe it is not, and it should not be.
So it's not a political process.
In my view, Dibal, because verily we believe what the president said in Bomas and what he has commissioned, and what all other proponents of this report have been from the word go. And remember, amongst the entire original team, there was no politician who is, I would say, radical for that matter. And so if that is the tempo we keep, well and good. The moment BBI loses the people is when it becomes a political process. So let it be delivered. Let it give us the proposals that will be given by the people. Then at that time, if it is going to be a referendum, let us go to a referendum with issues. The changes that will be done, let them be done on key proposals that were done there. And when it comes to Kiambu, and when it comes to Central region, I will go. Because I don't have to chase it in Kakamega. I don't have to chase it in Mombasa. I'll wait for it. It's coming to my place. And when it comes to my place, I'll be talking about key issues that affect my people, the people who, the key issues that affect the nation from the perspective of my people.
Right, so that now you also, Governor, is facing the impeachment process.
Yes.
You know, that particular motion was passed yesterday.
Yes.
You don't have a governor as it is right now in Kiambu to welcome.
Dibal, I think that notion is a wrong notion, and that's being created. That BBI can only be either marketed. It can only be dealt with by governors. It can only be received by governors. It is not true.
But actually, the president, just a moment, Kimani, yes. Before we take a short break. The president had lunch with governors.
Yes.
Right? Last week.
Yes.
Yes. On Thursday.
Yes.
And he's appointed appointment, of course, from every region.
That does not mean that he's not going to have lunch with senators and members of parliament. That was just one.
But the whole process,
and the process
tell us
takes 6
also
months.
why the senators are feeling slighted in the whole process, because you can't see senators being mentioned where the BBI is actually concerned.
Right? No, can I answer?
It is 7 on the nose. Could we take a short break? When we circle back, we'll get a rejoinder from Jacomi Dio and Boni Khalwale. Come back to you.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll take a short break right now.
Okay, that issue of governance, it came from my guru. Yes.
Kupika kila mtu ajipikie yake. Na vyombo za nani? Kwa nani?
Am I not getting some?
Ice cream ya wageni. Wewe nitakuletea maji kwa jikoni.
A girl's gotta eat to keep up with you, Mr. Guns.
Well, that's absolutely correct.
This festive season, get a decoder with subscription at an unbelievable festive offer of only 1,499 shillings. You can also pay 1 month and enjoy 2 weeks free on a higher bouquet. For more information, call 0719 077 077.
Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Sasa hapa jamani, tufanya nini?
Suluhisho ni moja tu. Tuuze hili shamba au jabali ya Mwesoni.
Wakati mwingine
usingizi waweza kumruka mtu kabisa kwa sababu ya mashaka.
Mashaka au matatizo?
Fadhili yuko njiani yuaja. Na kwa vile huwa waniletea kichwa, ujue akifika tu hapa atakuwa mkurugenzi mwenzako.
Na mbona alipokuwa nastawisha hii kampuni yangu niletea msaidizi?
Mnunuzi ndio huu tayari ushampata. Alafu nyinyi si mwaleta gozi. Nyinyi naambia nyinyi majalia machozi ya milkshake hapa nyinyi. Maye.
With Lipa na M-Pesa, you get more.
Lipa na M-Pesa.
Every 100 shillings spent on Lipa na M-Pesa earns you an entry into the draw. Do more with Lipa na M-Pesa.
Every day, NTV News Team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation,
Police are not taking anything to chance.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of border in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United States capital. It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to this note and karibu to this note.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
I've been on the forefront for corruption.
And that's a good place to begin.
A lot of this corruption happens because private sector and government are in bed together.
We've had this talk many times.
How drastic should the measures be taken? Because we can't keep on talking.
We don't see any action. The president has the ability to actually fire people.
I like to ask a direct question for direct answers. The heart of humanity, how do you still have it when you're such a hardened soldier?
This is not about you, it's not about your life. It's about the country that I serve.
This is where the real conversation happens.
Welcome back. You're watching People and Politics here on AM Live. We continue the conversation at pace. Boni Khalwale is very animated. All right, Boni Khalwale, we're back with you. We're back on air, right? Yeah, it's you actually. Then it will go to Jacob Medio.
There is only one Boni Khalwale.
The cartoon.
Before I make my comments, I would like to send a message of condolences to the family of the late Justice Aganyanya,
yes,
who came from our community and who passed on the 17th of this month. It's a pity that he died just before what transpired in his homeland. I don't know where to start, but let me attempt to start with the critical question that why did we have a rally in Mumias when there was another one in Kakamega? It was raised by both you and my brother Otiende. In very good faith, let it be on record this morning that we support the BBI that was launched at Bomas of Kenya. And up to now, not the president, not the deputy president has made a single pronouncement to suggest that there's anything wrong with the BBI that was launched at Bomas. But as of 18th of this month, Raila had already run in comments and in activity and in assembly to indicate that there was everything wrong with the BBI that was launched in Bomas. And the pillar of the 9-point agenda of the BBI that came from the handshake was the issue of inclusivity. If indeed BBI is supposed to achieve inclusivity, then what we saw in Kakamega was missing it by 1,000 miles.
But the question will be, Boni, why would you choose to hold a meeting in that particular day? And this is what actually Otendo was asking you.
Yes.
Was it a
Which
very
is what,
good confidential time for you to hold this meeting?
It's what I'm answering my brother. So now, we chose to hold a forum in Mumias and not a rally. And we were conscious of the fact that Mumias, where we were doing our economic forum, was a whooping 38 kilometers away from Kakamega. There's no way the two attendants would have clashed. Number two, because we are law-abiding, Otiende, we had a cultural function 50 meters away from Bohongo that morning.
50 meters?
50 meters away from Bohongo, at a place called the Kakamega Approved Primary School grounds. We had a cultural morning there, and believe me I actually went to the police and cancelled. And we took that function to 3 kilometers down the city at Amalemba. And believe me when we were at that function, when we were leaving, the police came to arrest me at 7:30 in the morning. So they foolishly thought that because my car was there and there was a crowd of around 15,000, 20,000 people singing their kind of things, that I was inside the car. So they went and opened the doors of the cars only to find that I was not there. I was really laughing at them because I was just in the crowd and dancing like everybody else. But when they chased us, I then took off with Boda Boda. So we abide with the law. we abide the law. So we foiled their attempts to arrest me so as to confine me, not to go to Mumias. Now, Diban,
yes,
the issue raised by Honorable Aaron, and which was spoken to by Wetangula, that they were angry that somebody had come in our home and they were touching the breasts of our wives. I want to agree with him. But Wetangula, that being the case, you and Mudavadi and Eseli and Wamunyinyi who attended, you let us down. You went into the function, you saw somebody touching the breasts of our wives, and you did nothing.
I'm a bit uncomfortable with that particular phrase because also people are taking breakfast with their children at home. So could we just, it's an analogy, yes, but can we just drop it for the show?
You've been airing it.
I know it's an analogy.
You've been airing it.
Yes, please.
You've been airing it. So as I leave it, sparingly. Yes, so thank you for the for that. You let us down, Eseli. How could you sit there and see it happening? We should have seen action that you are unhappy.
You as individual really let down because our people are very happy that he attended.
Exactly. No, I'm not saying they attended. Being there and doing nothing has caressed the special places. Or the anatomy of our wives.
You're getting out of order. Continue with the subject, please.
Yes. You should have done more. Indeed, the anger I saw Wetangula with, I thought he was now moving into the second gear. He failed to engage. The second issue is what my brother Amolo is trying to laugh at me, that the train is coming to crush me. It depends on what you perceive. What I'm seeing a train that has crushed Mudavadi and is coming, and a very fit, athletic Boni Khalwal is standing there, fully armed, with the easily available ammunitions. And what you don't know is that kind of athletic body, my brother, when the train attempts to crush me, in the ninja style, I'll somersault and it will not hit me. But more importantly, even as you people laugh at us, what's happening in Luyaland is like what was happening amongst the blacks in South Africa. When the white man was insisting that the leadership of the blacks kneel before them and denounce the spear of the nation, Omkhondo Siswe, there were many prominent people who did it. But Nelson Mandela, who by then was a nobody, was just one of the leaders in the black movement, stood up to them and said, I will not denounce Omhondo Wasiswe. And he prevailed.
Thank you.
No, you can't stop me. People
No,
spoke for 5 minutes.
No.
People spoke for it's true.
But you almost get
why
it
do you bring me and then you cut me?
Let the public points. Let's hear from. Then we'll come back to you. Hold on to your thoughts. Just a moment. Let's hear from Jacob.
No.
Is whether he said he would somersault inside or outside.
With due respect, I'm concluding with only 2 points.
All right. Okay. Then conclude.
I'm concluding with only 2 points.
Then you'll answer Matangi as well.
Yes. So what I have seen, and Eseli, I want to agree with you, that this raw power that you saw in Kakamega, you're not going to stop it, because I can see the attempts of the president by assembling governors and therefore county government resources. You're not going to stop it. That is raw power. But we understand power, some of us. We know that when the gods want to destroy you, they first make you drunk with power. And I want to tell Raila Odinga, Amolo Diende, all those governors, that raw power they are displaying is nothing to the people. Because we know that the power of the people is greater than the power of the people than the power of the people in power. It is coming. It is a known fact that the reason why ODM is pushing for these BBI rallies, they want to politically reinvent themselves. And the reason why governors are running with him is he has made the point. Let me emphasize, the governors are running to him. Some of them are looking for an opportunity under BBI to introduce a third tier of government.
Let's leave it at that.
And the others, finally.
Yes.
And the others, Dibal, they are fearing prosecutions. All of them have got cases either with the DPP, DCI, or EACC. It's just a matter of time before the law catches them.
So they want to hide under the canopy of the BBI.
Yes.
Right. Jacomi Duo.
Hey, Bonnie. You went with a border, but you have not told us how you came back. You somersaulted. You know, Dibal, we are really splitting hairs. I do not see why Bonnie can talk without giving Weta and MM credit for attending that thing. And when you say the power of the people is greater than the power of the politicians, that stadium is probably the biggest stadium in Kenya. I was there. It was too full. There was nowhere to walk. So which people was Bonnie trying to address? Bonnie, it's bad manners to do this Mumias thing. But remember, it was attempted against you people when you were in NASA. When this boy, Echesa, went there, and I hear you supporting him without mentioning those things about DPP and all those things. You know, you can't shield criminals when you are...
But you can't call Echesa a boy. Respect him. Echesa is an immediate former Minister of Sports.
But you are... but I have said here several times that he was not my minister. I didn't think he fit the caliber. You know, that is what we are trying to change in this country. You know, he's not my age mate. In July, I will be 55 years old, Bonnie.
And I'm older than you?
I know.
Yeah. So do I call you a boy? I'm older than you. I never call you a boy.
Yeah, you can call me a boy because you have done so before.
Respect
so what I'm just saying, you know, you've done so before.
My brother, respect our loyal leaders.
No.
Even if you don't like them.
All right.
But
let him finish.
I said nothing when you were talking.
No, just a moment. Just a moment. Just a moment. No, you will get your time to rejoin. Don't interrupt. Let him finish. You'll get your time to reply.
You'll get your time. You know, if you are saying, you are saying... you run away with the border when danger looms. You're a coward. You must give Musalia and Wetangula credit for seeing the light. Those are not cowards. Those are leaders, our leaders. Why do you think loyal leaders cannot be our leaders? What is the obsession with this thing about loyal, Luo? If we are saying we are building bridges in this country, and I've said here, you will not build a bridge from Kiambu to Kisumu without going through Rift Valley. let all Kenyans jump on this. And Dibal, you know, see that train. You may think all you want about Musalia, but he came back into the fold. And when you talk about Uhuru, like Uhuru is misusing his power. No. The power we are trying to stop from being misused is what happened to Kinaboni and Mumias. But also what we are trying to change is to have leaders who think they can be senseless and we keep moving forward. We must do that in law. But now, Dibal, let me say this. You cannot change a constitution without leadership from leaders, especially elected leaders. You know, now there's this talk from Team Tanga that says, we are not opposed to it. Dibal, we spent the whole of last year and the year before when they were saying it is meant to create positions for others. We must create positions if that is what Kenyans... you know, the only clip you did not play there is the Sakaja one, which says, there comes a time where a nation must decide its destiny. What is it that is good for us? Why do we fight every 5 years? How are we going to pull ourselves from this abyss? We must do it, and we must open the door for everybody. So that when you say, what happened between Bomas, I saw Uncle Bill saying, Bomas said the people are going to decide. Who are the people? Even the leaders are the people. But Article 1 of the Constitution says we exercise this power through our leaders. So if you tell me that I go to a Kala market in my village and let border people decide, the border people were inside Buhungu Stadium. I was sitting next to my friend, Dr. Eseli. That's the stadium, there's no, you couldn't even walk.
Yes.
And it is the biggest stadium in the country.
Thank you.
So all Kenyans are invited. Let us just drop the arrogance. Let us drop all, whichever money you are using, the deep state will not let you, because I think HE, Uhuru Kenyatta, has decided that we must not live like this for posterity. We must change this, and we must change this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's get back to Aaron Cheriot, and of course also now wrap it up with the issue of governance, then we gravitate to other discussions as well. So,
would you allow us to protect our leaders who are being
maligned, you think?
Yes. I just wanted to plead with my brother.
I give you 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
I just want to plead with you that accord our leaders the respect they deserve. You might not like Echesa. Echesa did not become a minister by accident. He went through the due process. I know you don't feel nice that Echesa, who was your youth leader, has scaled up and gone beyond what you have ever achieved politically. You work hard, yes. Work hard and reach where Echesa has reached. Don't insult him.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it. Let's hear from Aaron Cheriot. Just a moment.
Aren't you insulting? No. What has Echesa achieved?
No. Just about.
No, but if that is the talk, Dibal, he can't also insult my leader in front of me all the times. If that is where the direction we go of respecting leaders, please stop insulting other leaders, because if you're saying somebody was a youth leader must be a boy. A youth is a boy. But if you keep saying that everything wrong is associated with Raila, then we shall just,
Thank you. Aaron Cheriot.
Dibal, three things come to fore if we are genuinely to have a, the only chance that I give to BBI, in my own assessment, is the fact that I find it to be a reset button for the country. The fact that we had gotten to this point where, and there's something quite introspective that has happened in the last few days, not few days, few months, that we've been sort of on the wrong side of government, so to speak, politically, where you're not allowed to freely associate, there are threats on your life and all these kind of things because of political persuasion. It has given some of us a chance, especially give us benefit for our age. I came into politics when my political party was in government. Therefore, I have not had an opportunity to feel how Otiende, Jakoyo, and Boni Alwale have felt for years. where you feel government is strongly clamping on your rights, you don't have opportunity to freely associate. Therefore, we have this opportunity to be able to speak truth to each other and say, what is wrong, what is right is right. That is our biggest struggle as a country. Our only problem is that wrong is only wrong to the extent that it is injurious to myself. But if it disadvantages somebody who I don't agree with politically, then it becomes right. It is that kind of flip-flopping, Otiende, that I want us to stop if we want us to be great as a republic. Otiende, you cannot fail to be as articulate as you always are on police brutality because it is Boni Alwale who's being tear gassed. You've got to be consistent. You've got to say it is wrong when it is done to you. It is wrong when it is done to Boni Alwale. It is wrong when it is done to people that you don't agree with politically. That is when now we can say that we are having a genuine conversation about BBI. There are three issues, Dibal. Number one, the fact that Uhuru Kenyatta, the president, and Raila Odinga haven't come out so unequivocally so about what is it that is in the BBI that will be self-beneficial to them. Until such a time, you see there is already this discussion that, this may present an opportunity for the president to extend his term in power or for Raila Odinga to use the BBI meetings to launch sort of his campaign back into the national mood of the country using state resources until they become clear and address themselves to those particular issues. Then we cannot have a honest conversation. The second issue, Dibal, is why the brute force? Why are you beating people into submission? If indeed, why can't we listen to those who have alternative views? Look at how the launch of BBI was at Bomas, the kind of things that were done, the choice of speakers. If indeed this is a moment of national introspection and reflecting, then we should accord as much opportunity to those who don't agree with what has been achieved so far. Then we can say that indeed we have a good idea, but Eseli is presenting a better idea. If he has a better idea than what I'm proposing, we say, aha, that works for the country. Then third and final is the fact that how comes we are not addressing at this particular point this politics of exclusion, because you are told the biggest problem is because others feel that they are not part of the republic. Take, for example, when you go to Western, and you do what Eseli was actually, and Eseli put out a good case for his party leader and Mudavadi, and you attempt to organize a meeting of that magnitude without involving the local leaders. The people of that region feel you may not agree with Wetangula, you may not agree with Mudavadi, but for Christ's sake, those are the leaders of that particular region. You got to sit down with them and say, as the steering committee of this particular initiative, what are your views? What is it? How would you rather that we best arrange this meeting? In fact, see what Kalonzo has done. You know, when Kalonzo, being the kind of politician that he is, he decided to announce his own BBI initiative, which is not even in the calendar of events that you guys were giving. He said on 7th, we'll be in Wote. And today his governors are up in arms saying, no, that is not a BBI meeting. That is a Kalonzo meeting. So if there's exclusion even within the small regions, then how do we become united as a country?
Good point.
I think, Dibal, if we are to be honest, because the president gazetted the Haji Committee, why then can't we listen to what the Haji Committee want to do across the country in BBI Season 2 and give us a schedule of events so that we know genuinely? Because one of the things you remember, one of my biggest complaints against BBI 1 was that when it came to Kericho, the county that I represent as a senator, none of us leaders were invited. And we hope our views have been taken. When I raised that particular issue with both Senator Haji and Amos Wako, because they are my colleagues, they said this time we will publish a program of events that will include everybody. If we are able to do that to the exclusion of nobody, then there will not be this petty rivalry of who organized the meeting, who will be the MC, which particular political party, and we'll have a good opportunity as a country.
Thank you. So your idea is that we should actually hold this particular, so to speak, rallies and let Haji and his task force continue with their work. Instead of having two parallel meetings, how you will be holding theirs, and then also we are having rallies.
Otherwise, what we will be forced to do is we are left with only two options.
Thank you.
Either join these particular rallies that are ongoing, or do some that are of our own. But you know, if you listen to Mumias, if you listen to Bukungu, half the issues that were being addressed was about Ruto and Sugoi. Absolutely nothing to do with the BBI. which is really, that's why we are saying if you had a proper formal BBI meeting, those things will not be happening.
Okay, well, let's hear from...
In Muhungu, it's just that they did it much earlier, at the beginning of the meeting, in the sense that they read out the resolutions which had been reached at the Bungoma meeting a week before. So it's not entirely that nothing about BBI was spoken. However, I would like to say that if indeed there's going to be a referendum on the BBI matter, then we need to work in such a way that the BBI should not be divisive, so that when we go to referendum, it should be not so seriously contested that it further divides the country, because then it will have defeated the whole purpose of building bridges. Then we'll not be building the bridges. However, on a lighter note, I think the Tangatanga wing of Kakamega lost 2 soldiers who joined this team at the stadium. So now they are left with 2, because they don't have MCAs. So I think the Tangatanga wing is on the verge of losing Kakamega County. they should know that. Then there's this story that has come out from the Tangatanga wing complaining about the BBI initiative being early campaigns. I'm wondering, who has been doing early campaigns all along? It's the Tangatanga wing. They have been complaining, they were talking about political mobilization. Who has been mobilizing? It's them. But since they have been alone in the Kiwanja, they had run away with them. Now when anything else comes that appears to counter them, they are now crying foul. They are saying you are using state resources. I saw myself this last, early this month, was it early this month? No, December. When they came to my constituency using national resources, purporting to be talking about encouraging people to join the Vocational Training Institute, TVET. And they ferried people in buses from all the constituencies of Bungoma and dumped them somewhere in Kakamwe, in my constituency. And the Speaker of the Senate was the guest of honor, and lo and behold, William Ruto arrived in a chopper. Wasn't that political mobilization using state resources? So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you are busy mobilizing and campaigning, then let others also campaign. Kwani you want to be alone in the Kiwanja? Let others also campaign. I think the fear here is that when this BBI initiative takes off, as it has done, then the campaign will become more intense. And maybe Tangatanga, who have been having the field free, might start feeling the pressure, and that's why they are complaining. So that's on a lighter note. I think there's too much hypocrisy here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Otena Molo.
Very interesting. I think on a lighter
even
note...
Matangi is smiling cheekily. I don't know why.
On a lighter note, I accept the accolades given by my brother Aaron Cheruiyot that some of us are battle-hardened in terms of how to hold rallies and meetings and how to partake of tear gas without running and sprinting like some of them do, and how to succeed. So, Aaron, I invite you for free tutorials.
We discuss about the handkerchief.
Yes, I will invite you for free tutorials, including the knowledge. You may not know this. I think who advised you on this last week, that in fact it's a good idea when you go for those meetings to go properly dressed in a suit, because it brings you some respect, and carry a handkerchief, not 1, 2 or 3, so that when the tear gas come, you douse them in water. They will help you through it. Alwale knows this.
But it was only
now,
2 canisters.
Anyway, it was only 2, and they sprang like I don't know what. Anyway, now, you know, I've tried to listen to the lamentations of my brother Aaron, of Dr. Boni Halwale, of the Deputy President, and a host of my other colleagues, on what really is the complaint about this. And quite honestly, I'm not quite able to put my hand on it. When the BBI started, we spent every other week here with them attacking the BBI initiative. Yes. And there are those who went as far as the governor of Washingishu then, who said, they will not step into my county.
He never said
that. Then there are others, it was all reported. Then there are others who were a little more mild, like Aaron, and others who said, I will not participate. But that process went on. You cannot then come and blame that team for you not having given your views. When it came to the launch, they all said, we will not attend the launch and all that, but somehow they got a sneak preview of the report and they realized that all their fears were misplaced. So within overnight, suddenly they all trooped to Bomas. And then now they started lamenting again that, oh, why were we not part of the planning and all, why we were not accommodated. But when you have not planned to attend, you cannot expect the planners to accommodate you fully. When then the report came and they said they are supporting it, and now we all realize we're all supporting the report, then now it's a fresh line of lamentation that why are some people popularizing the report? If you like the report, what is wrong with popularizing it? What is wrong with giving further comments on it as was done? And you see, what Eseli is telling you is actually true. The contents and the details, the kind of submission that was given by the people of Western, it was very detailed. And I am told, Eseli says he attended, that the meeting was attended by at least 2,000 delegates. And they came up with a very clear memorandum that was read, that was received, and then Senator Amos Wako was asked to receive it on behalf of the BBI team, and he did. Yes, he did. Okay? Now, when then Aaron comes and says, oh, this is these meetings exclude certain people, you know, you're stopping others, I don't really understand. Because by your own admission, for example, as Dr. Celia said, they only made the decision for Wetangula to attend on Thursday. And they say they kept it to themselves. And indeed, when we were in Bukungu, Mudavadi and Wetangula just appeared. And their appearance was welcome. I agree with Jakoyo. That is an act to be lauded. The more people who join such meetings and come and give their views, the better. And I also agree that we must enrich the report. If you look at the Gazette notice that came out, the first point, point number 1, it mandates the team to conduct validation meetings. They can conduct it, we can conduct it, because constitution making is both a legal process and a political process. There's absolutely nothing wrong, and the alternatives they have are 2. Do they join? Of course they're welcome. If they don't want to join, do they want to organize their own meetings or popularizing BBI? Why not? There is absolutely no basis for lamentation. So when Aaron says that his biggest problem is that Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga have not told them what stakes they have in BBI, that's absolute nonsense. Both the president and Raila have said this is not about 2022. This is about a future for this country. And you just played the clip of what Raila said. So this hidden thing they are reading, which is not evident, is the problem.
Thank you. Let's leave it at that and hear from Kimano Matangi. The hidden thing is a problem, but of course we've had, as you say, both Raila Odinga commenting and saying that he will not be running for presidency, or is not interested in the position of a president. Neither is also Uhuru Kenyatta's. Will that be at any point pacify maybe the Jubilee side, especially the Tanga? From your own assessment.
You see, Dibal, when I make my comments, let me first state clearly that I make my comments believing that the utterances by the president, the declarations he made, are genuine and true, and I have no reason to doubt him, and so the other leaders. So all the comments I make are based on that premise, that they have told us the truth, they've told us what they mean and what they intend, and there's nothing else hidden. And that's why I would say, Dibal, from even this cartoon that you have displayed all this time, one decision that a political leader in this country now, in this day and age, must realize and make is that BBI now is here to stay, and staying means that it is going to have to move the way it started. You saw in Kisii, Kakamega, so it is a reality, and it is forceful, and it will. I don't want to say that it will run over anybody, because that's why I was of the analogy that it was taking off, not going to crash Halwale, but it's going to be a big thing, for that matter, going around the country. If you asked me, in political thing, what would be the best thing? I would advise anyone that the best thing, in my view, would be to ride the wave or ride the train, if you like, and make changes from within. And that's why I would say that I think I agree with the decision that was made by Wetangula and Mudavadi, because if you stand in the way and try to fight it when it is that forceful, it can flatten you. And so if we want to get the results that are desired by the nation, as premised on the original report BBI-1, and even my colleague here, Boni Halwale, have said the same, and Chariot, because nobody has approved that report. So to ensure that the results of the second process will be the same as the first, is let's ride the wave. Let's get in. Let's then ask for those changes when we are in it. Because if we are left behind to lament and complain and shout and have other political processes or other discussions or rallies elsewhere, then this thing will go, and at the end of the day, Dibal will end up with where we were 2005 and before, with bananas and oranges. Let me just make one last point on the effect of probably Wetangula, Mudavadi attending. You see, if you looked at the rally in Kibera, you remember that Alfred Mutua was there with Charity Ngilu. In Kakamega, I don't think I saw Alfred Mutua. And you will also see probably within the Kakamega arena, there were some few fallouts. And this is what I was talking about, Dibal, that also, if you are not careful, because BBI then will start to look attractive when it is forceful, and politicians love it. So when they ride it, and as it arrives at its destination, there might be too much fallouts, because then it will become a contestation between me and Halwale, or between me and the next person in Kiambu as to now who owns this process and who is called the real captain. And that would cause most likely an implosion in the BBI. We would not want to see a result whereby at the end of the process, when it is coming to an end, we have traveled the journey, we have gone through all those counties, we have said all the things we did, we took a good report first from Bomas, have taken it around, and then we end up with two strong factions that will then lead us into a divisive referendum, if that's where we go. Because then it would have defeated the entire purpose. And that is why I was making the first point, that it is important to deflate the ego of the politicians who are around the BBI. And not necessarily give them center stage per se as the content of the BBI is being sold to Kenyans. Let the message of the BBI be what is the flag to fly. But the ambitions and the intentions of politicians, although they'll still be there, let them take a center stage. And if you ask me, when I attend those rallies, that's exactly what I'll be telling the people.
Thank you.
That the message we need to listen to is your message, the people. What are you saying from what you had in Bomas?
Right.
So what do you want to be changed? I think that's what should make the headlines.
Right. So let's be winding up on this, and of course also this editorial cartoon that we have here, Boni Halwale, on telly, right? That is the big question people are asking, is BBI maybe the ultimate solution, the prime solution as far as uniting the Mulembe nation is concerned? We can see there is Tinga there saying maybe BBI can fix this problem. And we can see is Musali actually seated on this particular seat, which is looking too big for him as it is. And of course, you, Boni Halwale, you're on the side as well. Are you surprised?
Well, that guy looks like a Sally. You're calling Manuel? Anyway.
But he has the same shirt as yours.
Very quickly.
From the rallies.
Very quickly, I would like to appeal to my brother Amolo. Amolo, given who you are professionally, you cannot promote impunity. To state here that who cares, if you like it or if you don't like it, let ODM do its BBI rallies, go and state yours and so on. Let us, for good public order, demand that now that the BBI team its term has been extended and it's been gazetted, they be the ones to convene these rallies so that we all go there and then give our views to it. This bravado that now you are trying to demonstrate here with impunity. Once upon a time in 2005, I saw Kiraitu, not Kiraitu, it was Mother Karua, Murungaru, Kiraitu, Amos Wako, and President Kibaki They took us to Kilifi. And they did exactly what you guys are doing. They said, we will change the Bomas draft. And because we are government, we'll go to the people, we'll force the people to pass it. The rest is history when they attempted. So you can do what you're doing. But when you come back to Hatiala, Achieng, and Wanjiku, and Naomi, they are going to hit you so hard, you will not believe. The issue of my senior, Eseli, senior in medicine, of course, but my very junior in politics, the issue he has raised about the rally in Bakalu. It is true we were there.
Not Bakalu.
Bakalu, Kagamwe in Bakalu.
No, Kagamwe is in Tongaren.
Oh, sorry.
By the way, he has just reminded me, actually they have been to my constituency twice, the Tangatanga people.
Yeah,
the Bakalu one,
and
then the Kagamwe.
I was confusing.
You see, that's political mobilization using national resources in one constituency.
Yes.
For heaven's sake, what do you want with my constituency?
Yes, I want. We just want the votes, but we don't want to remove you.
No.
Yes.
You won't get them.
He needs to be removed.
You won't get them.
He's become a Mugabe.
You won't get them. If there's any Mugabe, it's your leader, the DP. He has been in politics for too long. That's the Mugabe. He has been in it for longer than me. So how can you say that I'm Mugabe, yet the person you are following, the DP, has been in politics for much longer than me?
All right, okay. Let's take it back to body. Okay, just a moment.
He was an MP for 3 terms, wasn't he?
Thank you, Celia.
Yes.
Please.
This is my third term.
Excuse me. Let Bode Halole continue, please.
So, my brother Eseli, please, you should appreciate that meeting in Kagamwe.
But with natural resources, mobilization of people using
Can I, sir?
resources.
Let him finish.
You should appreciate it because I witnessed with my own eyes. Young Didmus Barasa, very effective young lawyer leader, has actually devised a tool whereby children walk and their mothers from for school leavers. They walk into the meeting with photocopies of their either guardians or their parents' death certificates. And that is enough for them to get a check from the CDF to allow them to be admitted for the government to follow it subsequently with a program of the bursary and the loan.
All right, you're getting off the rails. Can we continue just with the BBI, please?
Yeah? Yes?
You're getting off the rails?
Yes, I was just speaking to it. Now, when you say that Tangatanga is dying in Kakamega, essentially, you know the principle of banking, which says that for 100 bank accounts in the bank, there are only 20 accounts that actually run the bank. So when you quote people like Shinali and Wangwe in political terms, you know their weight, political weight, that they either come with or they take away from Tangatanga. And by the way, Eseli, if you are this strong as Fort Kenya, how come when we were in Kibra, you could only get 200 votes? 200 votes. And Mudavadi, to get a little bit of respect, he had to rely on Owalo's own vote of 5,000. Why didn't you get the 12,000 votes that some of us garnered? I think you're just living in denial. Your goose is already cooked.
Thank you.
Finally,
briefly.
Finally, that you can cook my goose in Tongaren.
Finally,
kuja kwa kiwanja tukutane.
Finally,
finally,
on the issue raised by Honorable Aaron. Aaron is saying, if we must go on, we will go on, and you guys go on, but us, we will do it differently. Until such a time that the BBI has directed otherwise, Dibal, as ODM continues with the rallies, the political rallies that they are having, as yes, we are going to continue with our rallies of addressing the economic agenda of our people. And we have already seen a president set by President Uhuru and Raila Odinga. When the president went to Mount Kenya in Sagana, these leaders of Mount Kenya, they told him, you are not going to tell us about BBI. Wait a minute.
Thank you.
Speak to our economic agenda. And it brought fruits. The president pumped in weeks later 3 billion for coffee, 2 billion for tea, and several billion for milk. In Nyanza, BBI was presented by 3 billion for modernization of Kisumu port. So if they must come to Western, they must speak to sugar. Now that they are going to Mombasa, they have to go and speak to the damage that the SGR has caused to the economy of Mombasa. They cannot be doing economics in the areas of Raila and Uhuru, and when they come to the other areas, they now feed people on BBI politics.
You know, I was with Boni.
Before you move off Boni, you know, he likes, you know, downgrading people very much.
Let's just skip. No. Just a moment.
He recently lost an election.
It will be fair. Eseli, just a moment.
Seriously lost an election.
Eseli, relax.
He was
relax. Let's just hear Jacoyo. We'll come to you.
Jacoyo. There's a professional driver in control. Just relax.
You know, is the field open for all of us? Is it a free for all?
No, it's not free for all. It is
because I'm saying you're also confused.
No, it is Jacoyo.
Yeah. I think you know, the lawyers must give us a break here. You know, I was with Boni in another forum, and Boni incitement is not good. That's why we are trying to control you. When you talk about this SGR and the effect in Mombasa, I was with you on another TV forum where you really praised SGR. I took the position you are now taking to incite Kenyans. I still take that position, but welcome, because the effect is great.
Which position have you taken?
The position that SGR has not served Kenya well. And that is the one I was with you on another forum, if you forget, just about 2 months ago. But now let me say this. MPs who are making noise, and largely the people who are making a lot of noise are not Kinaharon, and all. They are mostly failed politicians like Boni and Jacoyo. They're the ones opposing this BBI because they think they have time to do the bidding for the opposition. It will not work. You know, when you come here and lament, like Aaron has lamented, that you cannot throw tear gas, you cannot do this. Only 2 years ago, I saw the deputy president saying that the people who went to welcome Raila at the airport, Boni Halwale included, must be dealt with. So when you see the DP saying that orders from above ended with the new constitution, I saw him, and that day, Debal, 18 of our people got killed by the police. That is what we are trying to rectify. When you say you don't want brute force, that is what we are trying to rectify. The invitation that you say, oh, we were not invited. Who do you want to invite? You have been a politician for like 30 years. I've never been invited to a political rally. Political rallies are announced. So when you say that in Bukungu Stadium, some people were not invited. No. And when Boni says how Eseli and Wetangula and Musalia are sellouts, how is that not an abuse? That's not being abusive to loyal leaders. How does somebody who goes to a progressive meeting like MM and Weta and Eseli showed up, a progressive meeting, maybe a few things which were said untoward, but Ribal, how many rallies do they go to, even on this table this morning, that they don't say something negative about Raila? He has just questioned Raila's position at how long he has been in politics and all this thing. But he has never been in an elective position for a very long time. But he's the leader of this country. Let us respect each other. Let us do what Kibaki and Raila dictated. They said 20% of this constitution is rotten, and we shall deal with it in the future. And I allowed everybody who is on board. You know, like Boni says, I think it is Aaron that says, I behave like ODM. If this is what ODM is doing for this country, I would be so proud to be a member of ODM.
Thank you.
That is not...
Right, so we are left with a few minutes, and I think we've covered broadly what is on, of course, happening with the BBI. But let's just focus on also what has been depicted today in the Star, and this is all about the, gun control, especially for the leaders. We have also that story in the Daily Nation, a side-by story. Just a one-liner, right? Just a one-liner there. This is in the Star. It's the deep states, and we can see some of these leaders who are affected by this particular directive from the IG. Aaron Cheriot, briefly, very briefly.
I'll speak with authority because I'm a commissioner in the Parliamentary Service Commission. I swore, and it is my duty to ensure that I provide services and facilities to members of Parliament. This is not a matter that is in the purview of the IG. In any case, the Parliamentary Service Commission Act that was signed into law in 2019 by the President provide for an independent, not purely independent, but for a police wing that take cares or provide VIP protection to members of Parliament that is not under the whims of this kind of political, not mobilization per se, but direct influence, where today, if you don't agree with me politically, you choose to withdraw. In fact, if the IG was to be genuine, these are not the people he has withdrawn security from. What about people like Susan Kihika, Kimani Ngujiri, people whom he took their security long time before he found them guilty or otherwise on anything?
Thank you. Right. Let's hear from you, Sally, briefly.
It's a shame and worrisome when leaders start misusing their firearms. I think this is a fact that we must face, that there's been misuse of firearms by leaders, and I think that's dangerous. I think when a leader knows that they have got a short fuse, they should avoid carrying a gun. Because if you have a short fuse, chances that you release a bullet are very high. So I think the psychological makeup of the individual needs to be looked into before they are licensed to hold, to carry a weapon. And it's embarrassing the rest of us leaders in the country that a few amongst can actually choose to misuse a weapon that they have been given for their own protection, and they turn it against common mwananchi.
Thank you. Otiende, briefly.
Well, since we were not invited to that Royal Rumble, let me just say that Dr. Lwale and Aaron and the Tanga team should stop being crybabies and pretend to us on national television that they're the ones now advising us because they talk like some of us are in power. When, by his own admission, Halwale, for example, is the right-hand man of the Deputy President of the Republic.
I'm not saying
all these things that you're advising us here, you should advise him privately because he's the number 2, whether it's SGR or whatever else it is. But on this one, I think that any person, and not just leader, any person who abuses firearms ought to be re-examined and it ought to be withdrawn. But that withdrawal should follow strictly in terms of abuse and criminal responsibility, not in terms of political leaning. I agree because even at one time we in ODM, we all suffered this until we had to go to court. I think when one is in danger of abusing, it should be remembered, that leaders are given protection not because of their own fanciful position. One, it is a way of respecting the will of the electorate. But 2, it is cheaper to provide protection to a leader than to let them suffer the worst that can happen and you end up in a by-election.
Thank you.
But anyone who abuses it then must suffer the consequences of that abuse.
Thank you. Kimani Watangi.
Yes, thank you, Paul. I think we had this discussion last time, and this is a position we must maintain because we must be true to our laws, to our constitution. It is enshrined in Chapter 4 of our constitution, and it's not bargainable. The rights that each one of us enjoy. You don't actually have to be a politician in the BAL. As long as you're a Kenyan, those rights belong to you. And also, within our laws, statutes and also, for example, standing orders in the House, in Parliament, there are powers and privileges. Actually, the Powers and Privileges Act of Parliament is a statute. And so there are things that are defined there, privileges and benefits that are rightfully to those people as Kenyans. But although we have those rights to firearms, although we have rights to speech, Dibal, let's also be truthful about one thing, that it is not our special preserve as elected leaders to go around saying any kind of thing you want to say anywhere. That you want to go and either divide the country, light fires in communities, ethnic stereotypes, and even abusive and bad language. And I think as long as that balance is observed, because I think, and you remember I said here about some leaders, even from our own region, you find that we have become so insensitive to where we were as a nation that you think you can just go and say anything. I think that also divide must be observed, that you can not just say anything.
Thank you, Matagi.
Or do anything,
briefly,
including shooting at nightclubs. I mean shooting anyone, because I think we also have to say it, Dibal.
Thank you.
It's not ordinary that a leader can just pull a gun and fire in there and shoot somebody.
Thank you,
and then the next day you laugh at the dog.
All right,
even the two previous cartoons, you have been able to identify me. Allow me to say that in this cartoon,
which cartoon?
The one we are discussing now, I can see somebody who is Babu Awino-like. And if he's the one, I would like to make the following comments as a doctor of medicine. That you cannot allow somebody to take bang, I think they call it shisha, and drink up to the wee hours of the morning and expect him to be still having the mental capacity to be able to decide whether to use or not to use a firearm.
Thank you.
It's unfortunate that the police has allowed this kind of thing. We are lauding them for what they are doing, but also condemning them to give the impression that criminal responsibility is corporate. It is not. If Babu Owino or somebody else has got criminal activity, they should focus on the individual rather than say a blanket that all members of parliament associated with the deputy president are likely to shoot people and therefore they should be disarmed.
All right, Jacoyo.
Dibal, this is a case that the police must deal with and the court must deal with. There are 4 noisy clubs in the upmarket which the court closed. You must begin from the point that even this club and the shisha and there's something they call wisdom, which they put in it. It is all drugs. If politicians must carry guns, then we must withdraw their securities. Because the policeman you are keeping in the nightclub until morning is the policeman who is protecting you. So why do you need a gun?
Yes, sir.
Withdraw those licenses, and I think there are too many illegalities that the police, if a policeman was to misuse his gun, he is sent home immediately.
Thank you.
Thank you, politicians doing it?
Right, thank you. I'll just read 1 or 2 tweets that we have, then we wind up. Because of time, we have Kelwon saying, this BBI is no longer a uniting initiative, it is a supremacy battle. Also, we have Dr. Joash Gombe saying, tell Boni Khalwale it's called the Pareto principle, not the banking principle, the 80-20 rule. I think the banking principle you're talking about. And Ed is asking, Boni Khalwale and Aaron Cheriot used to laugh quite hysterically in this show when they were in power. Not anymore. What happened? That is a probing question there from Ed. Right, let's leave it at that. We want to continue with the AM Live Plus on the other side of a break with Olive Barrows. Thank you for your valued company and your contribution, of course, also from our panelists. Thank you for that very delectable discussion we've had.
Welcome to our big family. You see, in this family, we have fun together and we look out for each other because we care. We share whatever we have. We protect and support each other. Welcome home, where we love and care for each other. We're so excited that you're joining us.
Welcome to the new member of our Nivea family. New Nivea Petroleum Jelly Essence, enriched with glycerin for long-lasting moisture and protection.
Did you know? We operate in 12 countries within the continent and internationally, making us a leading African banking group.
Absa Group, serving Kenya as Barclays.
Have been on the forefront for corruption.
And that's a good place to begin. A lot of this corruption happens because private sector and government are in bed together.
We've had this talk many times. How drastic should the measures be taken? Because we can't keep on talking.
We don't see any action. The president has the ability to actually fire people.
I like to ask a direct question for direct answers. The heart of humanity, how do you still have it when you're such a hardened soldier?
This is not about you, it's not about your life. It's about the country that I serve.
This is where the real conversation happens.
Remember that you're not putting us on a TV show.
That ship already sailed when you got involved with me.
Minda, you're hired. Yay!
Welcome to the family. Why are you so obsessed with putting your life out there?
Haya, kwani ni wewe?
Aye? What a coincidence.
Wewe unanifuata?
Are you sure? Ni wewe ama ni mimi nakufuata?
Mr. Mayweather Odhiambo.
You are under arrest.
What?
Denarius, son of my mother. Denarius.
Nilizae kama hajalema.
Serikali leta dawa gani?
It's almost a year, nothing has been done.
I just need some form of information.
Soldier.
Dr. Mugo Wairimu first hit the headlines when a video clip showing him raping an unconscious female patient in his clinic.
Wale wanaohusika pia wanajulikana lakini hawashikwi.
With the puzzle surrounding the sugar saga yet to be cleared.
How many times were you sexually abused?
Like 3 times.
How was a convicted child molester allowed to set up a children's home in the country?
NTV News. Bold, balanced, authoritative. Changes in programming.
Babe, tuende. Yani namaliza almost 1 hour before.
Tunakasirika sana maliza.
Party reality. Move Monday at 10 p.m. Fact Finder, the show that puts you in the know. The BBC Fact Finder will be at 10:30 p.m.
Fact Finder, the BBC.
360.
You can never really appreciate it unless you know the process behind it.
Elite 60 today at 10 p.m.
It's going to be a long
And move to Thursday at 10 p.m.
I have never any single time the and things came together to tell a lie.
Pass. Accountability to the Fourth Estate.
County Government of Kakamega has taken pride in being a model county, producing top students nationally in KCPE examinations for 4 consecutive years.
We have given scholarships.
Just move to the next level with the Daily Nation. Every day, every Monday, Junior Sport will move you to the top of your class with KCPE revision papers. to move to a healthier, fitter, and more conscious you. Read The Healthy Nation every Tuesday. My network will inspire your career, your passion, your biashara, and your network every Friday. Just move to the truth.
Maybe you're not putting us on a TV show.
That ship already sailed when you got involved with me.
Minda, you're hired. Yay!
Welcome to the family. Why are you so obsessed with putting your life out there?
Haya. Kwani ni wewe?
Aye? What a coincidence.
Wewe unanifuata?
Are you sure? Ni wewe ama ni mimi nakufuata?
Mr. Mayweather Odhiambo.
You are under arrest.
What?
Denarius, son of my mother. Denarius.
Have been on the forefront for eviting corruption.
And that's a good place to begin.
A lot of this corruption happens because private sector and government are in bed together.
We've had this talk many times. How drastic should the measures be taken? Because we can't keep on talking.
We don't see any action. The president has the ability to actually fire people.
I like to ask a direct question for direct answers. The heart of humanity. How do you still have it when you're such a hardened soldier?
This is not about you, it's not about your life. It's about the country that I serve.
This is where the real conversation happens.
Gari ndio hii eh? Haya, kujeni tuangalie.
From 4 to 8 p.m. on the Nation Drive. More music.
Haya, ngeni muangalie. You people have been found guilty of listening to Nation FM Anto Naubinda. On that note, everybody in this matatu is being paid for fare today.
Tunakemea January.
Just move to more music and less talk. Nation FM will be rewarding all Mathris tuned in to Nation FM. Watch out for the team as we visit various parts of the county. Nominate a circle that tunes in using the hashtag JustMove. Tag us and we will pay your fare.
Let me call you back.
Kemea in January, only on Nation FM.
The blind man told police officers, afade mimi sijawahi ona bangi maisha yangu yote.
Hizo ma award zikafanya watu waanze kuimbia award badala waimbe the word.
Mimi mkinichagua mtaona miujiza.
Anajifanya squeezy.
Kibia mara moja.
Naogopa Mwenyezi Mungu na uji moto peke yake.
Hiyo si bangi.
In the second phase of devolution, Kakamega County has realized tremendous change in all sectors. One such sector is the Ministry of Water. The county's vision is to increase the water reservoir capacity, making it available to the larger population of over 2 million Kakamega residents. Changes in programming.
You are my 10 over 10 guy. Babe, tuende. Yani namaliza almost 1 hour before wewe.
Tunakasirika nimemaliza.
Bahati Reality moves to Monday at 10 p.m. Fact Finder, the show that puts you in the know. The BBC Fact Finder will be at 10:30 p.m. Fact Finder from the BBC.
Lit 360. Mwinga business tinga giri jali makali mapinga.
You can never really appreciate art unless you know the process behind it.
The Lit 360 moves to Wednesday at 10 p.m.
This is going to be a long con.
Espas moves to Thursday at 10 p.m.
I have never known of any single time the Kenyan and the international media came together to tell our lie.
Press Pass. Accountability to the Fourth Estate.
Hayo unaoniambia wewe mbona yananichanganya sasa?
Kwa hivyo uniamini?
Mimi sijui niamini lipi na niamini nani.
Sawa, ushahidi ndio hapa.
Sonia yampenda Jabali kiasi.
Yale wayaita mapenzi, ule wake ni wivu. Sasa mambo ya kumpenda Jabali, na kumchukia huyu Fadhili, yaingilia napi kwa sisi mambo mawili tofauti.
Hili shamba litauzwa. Mwingine ataua na huyo mtu mwingine pia. Mbona nyinyi hamsikii maneno nikiwaambia?
Hawa kinajiwe wamekwambia nini haswa kimekufanya uje unikosee mimi adabu?
Mzazi asimtakia mema mwanae si mzazi mwema.
Good morning. I hope you're good this morning, and the fact that you tuned in to the new and improved AM Live 2.0. This is AM Live Plus, I should say, means that your day has started off on a high. Today we'll look forward to the news events that make news. All right, so let's start. I'm not alone, actually. Let's start in Kisumu. We have Okusa in Kisumu. We have Melita Oletenges in Nyeri, and we also have Bill Otieno in Taita Taveta. Okusa, how are you feeling this morning?
Well, Olive, a bright morning here in Kisumu. The weather is quite impressive today, and of course the rains have subsided, and everybody is looking up. But of course we're waking up to news that the ousted Kisumu County Assembly Speaker, that is Onyango Olo, has moved to court to file an appeal in yet another attempt to reclaim his seat. Remember, Olo was impeached last year, but went to court to contest, and on December 10th he suffered a setback after the Employment and Labor Relations Court through Judge Nduma Njeri ruled that the members of the County Assembly, that is the MCAs, had actually followed the right procedure in impeaching him. But now this particular day, Olo has again moved to court to appeal. 4 days after the County Assembly of Kisumu advertised the position and went ahead actually to plan elections to happen this coming Friday, that is on 24th of January. So that is a story we will be keeping our eyes on. Of course, it is something that has been causing a lot of heat at the local county assembly here. And of course, we still expect that shutdown will be looming when 24th of January, that is Friday, comes, when the elections will be held. So that is one among other stories that we will be trying to just put our eyes on this week. Back to you, Olive.
All right, thank you, Okusa, and we look forward to that particular report on the former Speaker of the Kisumu County Assembly, Onyango Olo, who plans to challenge his removal in the Court of Appeal. Now let's cross over a few boundaries, and this time we're going over to Nyeri County, where the formidable Melita Oletenges is situated. Melita, where are you, and what do you have planned for us today?
Good morning to you, Olive. We are right in the heart of Nyeri town, where, as usual, people are rushing to their stations of work. But what we're expecting today in Nyeri town is that the Mental Health Task Force is expected in Nyeri town today just to gather memoranda from of the public regarding their views, specifically regarding this menace that has recently hit the country, mental illness. Remember, this is a task force that was constituted following an order by President Uhuru Kenyatta late last year, and was constituted by former Health Cabinet Secretary Cecily Kariuki. So the task force is expected in Nyeri town today, of course, meeting with members of the public just to get their views on different factors, especially catalysts to mental sickness. These include drug abuse, sexual abuse, and of course physical abuse. These are things that of course act as factors that contribute to mental sickness. Kenya was ranked as number 4 following statistics from the World Health Organization in leading numbers of mental sickness. 1.9 million Kenyans affected, and this is something of course that is quite concerning. Remember, we've seen in the recent past grim murders cases of suicides are reported, and this is why we have this particular task force that was constituted by the former Health Cabinet Secretary Cecily Kariuki just to look at the factors that contribute to mental sickness and, of course, societal issues, societal dynamics rather, that keep on changing from time to time. So this is one of the stories that we are looking at today. We will be keeping tabs on this. And, of course, Olive, it is very difficult to avoid the issue of politics here in Central region, Mount Kenya region to be specific. There seems to be a rift, which is something that has been witnessed in the past, but we have now seen something that has come up. We've seen registration of political parties. This is something that has been on the undertones, but now it seems politicians have come out to speak about it vocally, and we have seen in the recent past leaders from Laikipia, to be specific, saying that they are now backing former Cabinet Secretary Agriculture Kiunjuri, forming a political party, the Service Party. Is it true that it has been formed? And if it's so, is it true that Mwangi Kiunjuri is behind it? So these are some of the issues that we are looking at. And of course, we will be communicating to you and our viewers as we get all the details. Over to you, Olive.
All right, thank you, Melita Oletenge. As well, politics is indeed hard to avoid. But did I mention that NTV has a footprint across the country? We're now joining Bridget Ngana. This time, she must be in the newsroom and not out in the field yet, but I'm sure she's on her way. Bridget, what do you have planned today?
Well, we are from the regional headquarters of the Nation Media Group here in the Rift region, South Rift region. We are at Tower 1 on the 6th floor. We are in the newsroom right now, but that does not mean that our ears and our contacts are not giving us the details and keeping us up to speed, rather, with what is happening in other parts of the country. The burials of the 3 pupils who died in last week's lightning strike at Mukulima Primary School in Koresoi North Sub-County is expected, or are expected, to take place this week. Tomorrow on Wednesday, there will be a mass for those 3 pupils who died in that tragic accident. And we do understand that the 50 other pupils who also suffered injuries during that incident are also receiving treatment, and some of them have recuperated. There were 5 who were brought to the Nakuru Level 5 hospital. We do understand and do hope that by now they have been released from hospital. Also, the winds of the BBI are continuing to blow on this side, and in the 1 o'clock bulletin I'll be filing some of the sentiments coming up from some of the leaders who support the BBI in this region, but some also have been known to oppose the whole notion altogether. We do expect that we will be getting a clear picture of what really BBI means to the residents of the South Rift or Nakuru County as we go along. We do also know or are keeping tabs on the locust invasion in the neighboring Baringo County, and we do believe that in the Asol region of Nakuru it's going to be affected, especially the areas of Mogotio and Rongai sub-county that border Baringo County. But these are some of the things we're following up from this region and keeping our ears and eyes on the ground. Olive.
Bridget's made reference to those locusts that some say consumed the former Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mwangi Kiunjuri. But that was on a light note. Now we cross over to Migori County, where we have Bernard Ojwang standing by. Bernard, where are you and what are you covering for us today?
Well, thank you very much, Olive. Nothing much happening here from the sugar bed, and of course we have some issues. We've been having issues at the County Assembly of Migori. Yesterday, majority of the MCs hosted their Deputy Speaker George Omamba, citing indiscipline at the Assembly, and also they said that the Deputy Speaker has been undermining them as the MCAs, and of course they decided to take the move at least to streamline some issues there. And apart from that, still with that issue, yesterday during that incident, Omamba moved from where he's supposed to be seated and also moved to the public gallery. It was for that forced the County Assembly security at least to move him, and as we speak, Omamba will no longer step forward at the County Assembly until further notice. Apart from that, what we have here at the sugar belt, remember recently we had President Uhuru Kenyatta making some changes in his government, and of course the Migori County farmers really expected much from the president when we talk of sugarcane farming. And apart from that, we'll be moving to Migori, Awendo, where we have Sony Sugar. We'll be talking to farmers just to get to know what do they think about the step that was made by the president, and also what do they expect from the new CS when it comes to sugarcane farming here in this region. Back to you.
All right, Bernard, you look like you're in a market somewhere. What do the people in the market have to say about their expectations as far as the report on the sugar industry is concerned? All right, Bernard doesn't appear to have heard me, but let's now cross over to Taita, and we have Bill Otieno on location. Bill, where are you with all that forest cover?
Well, thank you very much, Olive. And we are joining the broadcast from Voi Law Courts here at Taita Taveta. And indeed, we're expecting the governor of Nairobi, Mbuvi Sonko, to arraign or to appear to Principal Magistrate Fred Nyakundi. And we are actually live here, and as you can see behind me, there are some couple of security. Indeed, there is a tight security. If you look at, you closely look, our camera Karim can closely look at the entrance of the court there. And indeed, we're also seeing, we are having also a group of followers. I don't know, for the lack of better word, I'll say his supporters who are here also from Nairobi. And there are hundreds of them, of course. I've just witnessed hundreds of them going down by vehicles. And as you can see, the vehicles are parked there. And these are just people who are now waiting for the case to start. Mike Mbuvi Sonko last time didn't appear at the Voi Law Court for medical reason, that he was on bed rest. And we did see he was being represented by 3 lawyers, and the lawyers gave that as an excuse that the governor was not going to appear here at the court, and therefore the magistrate did give a date, and the date was today, and the 21st of January 2020. Joining me also is Kevin Mchai, my colleague here, and maybe Kevin, this is something that we've been following up for a while. The governor was accused was accused with 3 charges, and the first charge was he willingly refused arrest. The second charge was he actually used abusive language, and the third charge was that he kicked the regional police commander on his thigh. This was an assault. What do you think about it, Kevin?
Well, of course, Bill, I think today is another time when, of course, Kenyans will be keenly following. Remember that this is not the first time that the governor will be arraigned before the courts of law. Remember, this happening here in Voi is just because of that dramatic event that occurred at Ikanga Airstrip, I believe. Remember that video that really went viral when Sonko was resisting arrest, when he was trying, when the authorities tried to put him in a police chopper to be airlifted to Nairobi. So this is another date when the governor will be appearing before the court. Remember also there are other charges that are facing him in Nairobi, but of course this is a different charge, as you've said it right, that he faces 3 charges here, and I will be here keenly following. But as you said rightly, that the security forces have already been put in place to ensure that there'll be adequate presence of law enforcement just to be ready for any eventuality, if at all anything can occur. But Bill, you've been following this issue from this particular side, and speaking of the 3 charges, of course you were there at that particular time when that occurred. So I'm sure that we will be covering this from all the angles for our viewers, and we will be giving them real-time updates of what we will be be transpiring. But at least what, according to the information that we've managed to gather so far, is that the governor himself will be appearing in court today. As you said, that last time he did not manage to come because of some medical reasons, but today at least I've spoken to some of his aides, and they've confirmed that he will be here accompanied by his lawyer. So indeed, we'll be following and we'll be pushing up. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Olive. And we'll be taking this back to you. We'll be coming to you later. All right.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Kevin. As they said, we will be engaging them further as the day progresses. Let's see if Mike Sonko is in better health and will be able to plead to those charges. I should have asked Bill, but I do know you could be charged for using abusive language. Well, I guess it depends on what kind of abusive language and in what context. Well, that story informs the first entry in our diary. Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko is set to appear before the Voi Law Courts to take plea on assault charges. Sonko, while being arrested in early December, assaulted Coast Region Police Commander Rashid Yakub at Ikanga Airstrip as he declined to board a police helicopter which was to airlift him to Nairobi for questioning over corruption allegations. The plea taking was to happen in December, but the embattled governor failed to appear in court, citing health reasons. His lead lawyer, Cecil Miller, said Sonko was ill and could not appear in court. The Senate is this afternoon set to hold a special sitting on the impeachment motion which the Kiambu County Assembly passed against Governor Ferdinand Waitito. At the special sitting, the Senate will set the ground rules on how to proceed with the motion. The House, which has been on recess, will, among other things, decide on whether to hear the arguments for and against the governor's impeachment as a whole or delegate it to a special committee. Various disc jockeys and other artists are set to hold peaceful demonstrations and play music outside Parliament. This as per the poster they put out for the protest against Embakasi East MP Babu Owino shooting one of their own, Felix Orinda, popularly known as DJ Evolve, at a B Club in Kilimani, Nairobi. The broader message they are pushing for is on the issue of guns in clubs, where some of them earn their daily bread. Investment bank and asset management business Genghis Capital launches its Playbook 2020 this morning. The firm says the playbook will offer invaluable macroeconomic and investment insights for the year 2020, offering a distinctive counsel on key decisions that investors need to make to realize positive returns throughout the year. According to the event brief, the playbook will also offer insights into the overall Kenya economic and financial projections for the year from a Genghis Capital perspective. All right, Pride Inn Group of Hotels is set to acquire Azure Hotel in a deal estimated to be worth hundreds of millions of shillings. Following the completion of the takeover of a multi-million investment Azure Hotel, the managing director for Pride Inn Group of Hotels, Hasnain Nurani, alongside Azure Hotel managing director Vishal Pondira, are set to officially take over Pride Inn Azure Hotel, which was previously owned by Azure Group. All right, now let's take a look at some of the issues in the public domain which we're keeping an eye on from the NTV newsroom. Babu Owino's shooting of a DJ Evolve last week has breathed life into the conversation and debates on guns in civilian hands. Last night, we compiled a report on leaders and other prominent people who have used their guns in public and amid controversy, and how there has been a feeling that justice was not served. The National Police Service just yesterday said VIP holders of civilian arms will also have their weapons confiscated and licenses cancelled in case they are found to have abused their weapons and broken the law. This debate is likely to continue, and we will be keeping an eye out to give you any developments. All right, the power play and shows of bravado in the University of Nairobi's leadership tussle are yet to rest. The High Court suspended Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha's decision to revoke the appointment of Professor Stephen Kiyama as the University of Nairobi's Vice Chancellor. The court also stopped Professor Isaac Mbeche's takeover as acting VC. This comes after the University Senate backing CS Magoha's decision, which the minister says was actually the president's call. We are watching to see what the next dynamic on this issue will be. If it happens, we shall definitely bring it to you. And as Okokusa told us, the ousted Kisumu County Assembly Speaker Onyango Lo has filed an appeal in the court in yet another attempt to reclaim his seat after he was impeached in 2019. Olo filed the appeal 4 days after the Assembly advertised for the position. Elections have been slated for January the 24th. We are firmly in Kisumu monitoring to see if there will be any politics preceding the polls, as well as in light of Olo's appeal. Well, it is chilly in Embu East, and this is not just about the weather. 3 murders and more injuries in one incident. A gang of robbers attacked 2 bars, one in Duri and Gishera villages, leaving death and injury in their trail. Residents say such attacks are common and are calling on the government to ensure enforcement of the Nyumba Kumi initiative as well as enhance security. The residents have also threatened to take the law into their own hands due to insecurity in the area. Police have called for calm and collaboration in the pursuit for justice. We are keeping an eye on that issue. All right, now it's time to look back into the calendar and look at what happened today in history. Well, on January 21st, 2009, about a decade ago, Barack Obama was sworn in as the U.S. president for the second time in 2 days. This followed a minor mistake during the first oath-taking on the previous day, a mistake attributed to the Chief Justice. One word was given out of order during the initial ceremony. President Obama was supposed to say on Tuesday, "I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States." But Roberts misplaced one word, saying, "I will execute the office of the President of the United States faithfully." The second round of swearing in was done behind closed doors in the map room of the White House as part of avoidance of the spread of criticism that Obama was not actually president, as his oath was not done as it was to be. All right, on this day in 2009, Israel's withdrawal from the Gaza Strip was officially completed, ending a three-week war it had with Hamas. The conflict came to an end on 18th of January after first Israel and then Hamas announced unilateral ceasefires. On the 21st of January, Israel completed its withdrawal from the Gaza Strip. However, intermittent fire by both sides continued in the weeks to follow. Estimates have it that up to 1,400 Palestinians and 13 Israelis died in the conflict. And on this day, much further back, and that is in 1954, the USS Nautilus, the first nuclear-powered submarine, was launched after the First Lady, Mamie Eisenhower, broke the traditional bottle of champagne across her bow. Electric Boat Company in Groton, Connecticut, the same company that had sold the U.S. Navy its first submarine in the 1900s, laid the vessel's keel on 14th June 1952, preceding the launch 18 months later, which is today's date, in 1954, and commissioned in September the same year. I really like that background music. Is it you, Jacqueline, who's playing that? Can you hear that?
Am I
Oh, no, it's not Jacqueline.
I don't think it's me.
Speaking of music, and I did mention Jacqueline, so let's see who Jacqueline is. I'm joined in studio by Jacqueline Mugo, also known as DJ Shock. I'm also joined by Greg Tendwa. He is the petitioner, DJs for Justice.
Yes.
Is it? Yes. And you're also a DJ?
Yes, I'm a DJ producer.
What's your name?
It's just the same, Greg Tendwa.
Greg Tendwa. So
Yeah.
you know, why DJ Shock actually?
It reminds you not to assume anything of anybody because they might shock you.
All right. Okay. Greg, do you want to play around with something?
Why Greg?
Yeah, why Greg? Those.
Wow, it's a long story. It's yeah, it's just my two names.
All
just
right. So you
shortened.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there you have it. We have DJ Shock and DJ Greg Tendwa in studio with us this morning. As I mentioned, we did look at the news diary, and we know that DJs are set to protest outside Parliament by playing music. Jacqueline has brought her deck with her and her laptop. And Jacqueline, you are the, if I'm not mistaken, founder of the East African Association of DJs.
Yes.
What do you have to say on this? Are you going to join the protest? Let me start there.
Honestly, we are yet to ascertain the origins of the poster that is advertising today's demonstration. And there are several precautions that you're supposed to take before you do a demonstration, including notifying the police, getting a permit. If we cannot find the person who started the campaign, then we don't have that information to share. So personally, I may not be able to participate, but at the same time, I'm also working today. So either way, I wouldn't be available to participate.
To take part.
Yeah.
All right. Greg, you started a petition, DJs for Justice. Tell us a little bit about that petition.
So the petition is about no guns in our clubs, and basically it's looking out for the safety of the public as well as the revelers who go out into the clubs. When you discharge a firearm in public, it will not necessarily only hurt the person you're targeting it at. It could also affect other people who are not necessarily involved in the conflict. And therefore, we want an environment or an entertainment space that is free of guns, where people go to listen to music and to enjoy themselves, and where workers, including DJs or waiters and such like people, are protected from such acts of violence. Yeah.
All right, Jacqueline, do you feel safe? You said you're working later today. Do you want to tell us where you'll be playing?
Oh, actually, I have a day job as well.
All right.
So
okay.
That's what I'll be doing. So I'm very safe.
Okay, good. But when you play in clubs, do you feel safe?
I'm a strong personality, so I try to put people in their place if they really try to disrupt what I'm doing, but at the same time firm, not impolite when I communicate with people. And we do take the necessary precautions to take care of ourselves, because the assumption is that being an outsourced service, you have to prepare everything. And I do feel, after this incident, I question the safety that we are going to be having when we go to work in the evenings. I really do.
All right, you say you take precautions.
Yes.
What kinds of precautions?
First of all, you're friends with everybody in the club. You're friends with the staff, especially the security. And so if there's a concern that you have, you communicate to the security first before you start your job. And so they can be on the lookout in case they need to act upon any incidents that are potentially, yeah.
All right. But it can be easy to handle patrons or revelers who are inebriated. So how do you keep that boundary? How do you maintain that boundary?
That's what the security is for, and in the worst case scenario, we report them to the management and just say, I'm trying to do my work. Can you assist this reveler with what they need so that I can focus on the service I'm supposed to be providing you?
Okay.
Yes.
What's the worst sort of encounter you've had in a club?
Somebody came over and bragged that they could do my job, so I shut down the equipment and went and had a seat.
Were they high?
Yes, they were inebriated, and they got into a lot of trouble with the management because the management knew them for that kind of behavior. So once they were escorted out, then I could resume.
Okay. All right, Greg, what has been your experience? Do you play in clubs?
Yes, I do. I do play at clubs. I do play at festivals.
Perhaps I should have asked, do you specialize in a kind of music?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So Greg?
I do specialize as well. I have I do a sound called Bengatronics, which is a mix of benga and electronics. It's pretty new, but we've been working on it for about 7 years. So I play mostly in festivals as well as clubs and also in private parties. I also have a studio where we make this music, we record and publish. It's like a label. Yeah. So over the time, you also get exposed to the insecurity within our club, within our clubs, and so I thought it would be the time to actually take action and sort of clear our clubs and make them safer places where we can all enjoy, because some people do actually leave their houses to go and have a good time listening to the music, and that provides work for the DJs and it also provides work for the clubs themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel safe? Have you ever had an encounter where somebody has threatened physical harm?
No, I haven't experienced any myself, but maybe it's also because of the nature of where I play and how I mean, and where we play. You know, the nature of where I play, and but I do know of incidents where people have come and demanded a request from the DJ, and if the DJ is not obliging, then they slap them, or you know, those are common incidents. Somebody comes up and demands for a request to be played at that time, and that's the most difficult thing for a DJ to do, because they already have their own program to play.
You call it a set, is it?
Yeah, a set.
Okay.
Yeah, they already have their DJ set, and then it might not be able to match within the time. Other people use money to, you know, sort of either bribe the DJ to get their requests heard or stuff like that. I guess, you know, that also, you know, sort of influences the environment in one way or the other. And other people could just be angry, and then you just become an object in the middle of their anger onto which they project it at. And if you notice in clubs, you'll always find the DJ cabin somewhere secure out there. And that is also one way of ensuring that there is protection from, you know, from the rest, because it's music, just like alcohol, it's also music that drives the people in the club. Yeah.
All right. Jacqueline, what motivated you to start the Professional Association?
Primarily, it was the issue with the music tariffs and the CMOs. The thing is, when you're talking to government, they do not talk to an individual, they talk to an organization. And so we needed an organization that represents the DJ community. And from that perspective is where I thought it's best to just go to Sharia House and get this thing done, so that we can communicate and be on the same plane with them and solve their problems as we need our problems solved when we're lobbying.
All right, so in terms of security and safety, what are some of the recommendations you would make based on your experience?
We would like to collaborate with PERAC and agree that they will publicly commit to the safety of their revelers, staff, as well as the DJs and the performers that come in, and to have the appropriate signage accordingly in terms of no weapons, no guns, no violence in this premises. Yeah.
All right. But, you know, if we look at the B Club incident, the reports say there was a sign outside the club. I've never been there. But they say there was a sign outside the club that said no guns allowed. But then do the rules change in your experience if it's a VIP who's coming in?
It shouldn't change, because a gun is a gun, whether it's a regular person or if it's a VIP. So the best thing that the security there should do is to take the weapons and put them in a specific locker or safe that is assigned to that, and then people can go in, they can have a good time, then collect their valuables on their way out.
Okay. All right. What's your experience? Have you played where there's been a VIP? Have they been allowed to come in, you know, without being searched? Because I know it's difficult to tell when a weapon is concealed whether they have it on them or not. But are they searched as thoroughly as the other revelers in your experience?
Not necessarily, because this also speaks to a bigger culture of impunity, where really the big guys don't go through the same security checks as you. And when they pass around here, we all stand up and all that kind of thing. And so you'd not be able to tell how many guns actually you have in a hall, because different big people who come and they, you know, sometimes just bribe the bouncer with a little fee and walk in with their ammunition. You can never really tell, you know, who's there, and others are, you know, not checked as thoroughly as everyone else. In fact, the more you spend, the less likely you will be searched as you come in. And I think for us, this is a question of enforcement and equal treatment to each and everyone who's coming out into an entertainment space. They have to be thoroughly checked. And there's a lot of festivals, there's a lot of, you know, like international festivals that are very clear on that. And I think if we held ourselves to such type of standards, like Kilifi New Year, it's a festival that make sure that everybody who goes in is ammunition free, and there's, you know, there's clear communication around that can be established. But I do think that we're speaking to a big, you know, even this whole petition is also speaking to a bigger culture that is happening in the country, which is about impunity, where, you know, people can commit crimes and moving guns. I think we do want to bring to attention that the country is going into a state of lawlessness and impunity. If you watch our roads and how the 4x4s, you know, just throw you off the road and pull a threat at you whenever at whenever you try to stand up, against them. It's just a culture that needs to stop. And, that's part of our, bigger goal into the future in terms of impunity.
All right. Tell me a little bit more about the petition. Where can I find it?
Okay.
And what is the objective? Do I sign on and then what?
Good. So the petition is on change.org and it's called No Guns in Our Clubs. And ideally, it's been signed by about 5,000 people as we talk. We see how we go about today. I started this petition with one very clear objective, that we need the voices that speak in the same language and that are affected by the same problem. And therefore, it was impossible for me to just come out and say, hello, I think this is not a good thing. It's also good to have voices of other people. And so we have 5,000 people speaking to us. The intention of moving this forward is split into about three categories. One is in the short term, we want to sustain attention at DJ Evolve case, that because we have a culture of amnesia, we are not going to stop to press for justice and to actually ask the DCI and the DPP for a thorough investigation and that the perpetrators are brought to book. Secondly, we also been going to look at working, as she mentioned, working with PERAC and also the Association of Gun Owners and stuff like that, to actually have signage and have clubs commit to ensuring a gun-free entertainment space. And why this is important is because you also, if it is publicly declared, then we can hold you to account better. If it's not declared, then then you could pass for that, and that will take time, but we want to recognize that those people that comply, but we also want to name and shame those that defy. We also want to.
So there's power in numbers.
There's power in numbers, definitely. There's also something that is also not being spoken about within this case of DJ Evolve, which is workman's compensation. If you get hurt in your place of work, your employer should be able to compensate you for that injury. And we also want to bring to light that particular issue. And when you look at the kind of environment where we work, people work as casual laborers and all that kind of stuff, these are not things that they know. But we should be able to follow through and seek justice to ensure that workman's compensation from the employer also comes through for this particular case. And also in the long term, cases of sexual and gender-based violence within clubs are rampant. Rape, harassment, assault, both on male and female workers within the environment. And these are people who also live late at night. They're further harassed by police, they're further harassed by their drivers, they're further harassed by the gangs in the neighborhood as they go home. Entertainment workers work late into the night. And they experience various forms of violence. I do think this is an issue that we need to bring into attention and working with clubs, see how we can significantly reduce these particular cases. And lastly, in the long term, human rights education for the DJ fraternity, but also entertainment workers. You notice that a lot of the people do not understand what are their rights, what are their responsibilities, what are their privileges, what are they really entitled to. And as a human rights educator, I'm also very keen in ensuring that people are empowered through not just information, but also tactics and strategies that they can apply. I do think we are at that point in time where we can unionize the DJ movement across the country to demand for better working conditions, better commensurate, stuff. But this is really long term. So taking the petition forward, these are the 5 key things that we want to see come to life. But we cannot do this by ourselves. So working with different stakeholders, establishing alliances, trying and failing is also going to be part of that. But I do think on my side there's a definite commitment that we need to get this done.
All right. DJ Shock, before I come to you, and I'm glad you can multitask because you're playing us music, and I will have a few questions for you. But Dan Wangi is producing me behind the scenes, and he had a question for you. He's been a performing artist as well. Dan, what's your question? Sorry, I didn't catch it. All right, so his question is, you're talking about workman compensation. So he says, does it apply, basically DJs are contracted, right? It's an outsourced service, as she said. Doesn't the workman's compensation apply to those who are actually employed? by
But
these
some
clubs.
DJs are resident DJs as well. They work the same way as waiters. They are on salary. They are on pay. You understand? But I think the question here is on the what type of contract do you really have? Supplier type of thing, or are you actually on the payroll? And if you're a resident DJ, resident DJs are on the payroll like everyone else in the club, and they're entitled to compensation in the event that they're
all right, so
injured.
then is the onus then on the non-resident DJs to negotiate that in their contract?
I do think, and this is why we're talking about the education part, we need to relook contracting and how it really looks like. Because if you're a third party, you should actually be able to demand for certain responsibilities of security to have been met before you enter into a space to perform. You understand? If you're a doctor, if you're a doctor going to perform a surgery in a certain place, you do require that place to have those facilities that ensure that you deliver well within that environment, whether you're especially, I mean, if you're a contracted party to go and do that. Why would it be so difficult for DJs to actually demand for the same, you know, for that environment to be provided, you know? It's not really about a question of looking for the compensation here outrightly, but to actually have the rightful environment that you can operate in that ensures your safety is delivered. So the contracting here is what we need to look into.
All right, Jacqueline.
Yes.
I'd like to, DJ Shock, let me call you DJ Shock. You know, your fans might know you better that way.
Yeah.
There was this criticism. I know you've said you're not taking part in this afternoon's march, if indeed it takes place, because you're not clear on who's organized it and if all the requirements for a peaceful demonstration have been met. But there's been this criticism that the DJs have not been vocal enough in support of DJ Evolve. Somebody like Joe Mushiri on social media posted about how if it was a Boda Boda rider, you know, when you scratch a Boda Boda rider, it's like you've scratched all of them. What do you feel about that? Do you think that is fair criticism?
I disagree with that to some degree because it's assuming that we are employees. Most DJs are business people. They have their own little entrepreneurship activities that they do, whether it's just the DJing or providing the sound. They're all businesses. So you can almost consider them like KEPSA. Do you see KEPSA people going to the streets? So for us, a lot of the activism has been online, and a few DJs have been going to visit Evolve at the hospital. In fact, it's coming to a point where security is very high because many DJs have been going to visit him to show his support. We even have WhatsApp groups that have been collecting funding on his behalf, just little small gifts just to say, we're with you, we're showing solidarity. Not really a lot, but yeah. As in, we haven't been putting it all in the public per se, apart from our press statements. And so I don't quite agree with that sentiment. I don't think we need to make a whole hullabaloo. Rather, we are more organized and we try to move forward and create action points, just like we've done with Greg.
Okay. What about those people, and I'm not sure about the wisdom of the comments they're making, but there are people who are arguing that he shouldn't have been in the club, it should have been closed.
That wasn't up to him. That was up to the owners, and it's them who are being called into account for that.
Okay. All right, finally, and before I let you play something for us, I don't mean to be sexist, but is it tougher, harder for a female DJ in terms of safety in the clubs?
It's not sexist to ask that. In fact, female DJs have a different dynamic altogether because I'm part of a WhatsApp group that has at least 100 DJs, female. And they are all in all the counties. And some of them are also mothers, some are wives. So the challenges are a little different from the men. And one of the challenges is being able to get to work and go home safely and not have people interfere with your work. And unfortunately, there was one incident where one girl was trying to leave and cross from the entrance to her Uber, and she was almost gang raped by some people who snatched her up and tried to take her into an alley. And the thing that upset a lot of us about that was that there was a security person sitting outside who watched everything instead of acting. And there was the Uber driver who could see that she's in trouble, but it took a reveler to come out and rescue her. So these are some of the things that we also want to address, gender-based violence.
Okay, we had sought to engage the association of, I don't know whether it's bouncers, do we still use that term? Security, basically, people who manage security in the clubs.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they opted out of this particular interview. It would have been good to pose those kinds of questions to them. All
Yes.
right, so we want to end on a bit more of a lighter note. Those are very heavy things that you raised, and I hope you've engaged, as the association, you've engaged the Ministry of Interior, at least, and the authorities in terms of the safety requirements.
Yes, we can speak with them. There's so many organizations we need to talk to, including Amnesty International, who are supporting us very much.
All right. Okay, so that was heavy. Do you mind leaving us with something a bit more optimistic?
All right, cool, thank you.
Oh, was it me to speak?
Yeah. No, just play us something.
Okay, here we go.